All right. Hello, everyone. How you guys all doing today? Welcome to the Twilight Princess All Dungeons tool-assisted speedrun made by Ekke325. This is going to be a fully commentated live reveal of this run, so I hope you guys are all excited. And of course, with me, I have or I guess before I introduce the commentators, I should explain that this is a tool-assisted speedrun. For those of you who might be unfamiliar, a tool-assisted speedrun is basically a speedrun that uses certain emulator tools such as save states, frame advance, re-recording, and TAS input to essentially create a demonstration of what a speedrun category would look like if it was done perfectly. So you're going to be seeing a lot of strategies here in this speedrun that you would not see in a normal Twilight Princess All Dungeons speedrun because they are either too precise or too risky for regular runners to pull off in real time. And with that out of the way, so for this commentary, I will be having the TAS author Eck and Bewildebeest joining me today, if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Hello, guys.
Oh, and hello. Sorry, I thought you were going to say more.
Nope.
Well, hi.
Yeah, so
Good to be here.
So this is who we have today, and just before we start, I wanted to ask you, Eck, how long have you been working on this task?
So it's almost exactly 4 years. I started this back in October 2018 and finished this October.
Oh,
Almost on the
wow.
day, it's 4 years.
That's crazy. Can you imagine working on something for 4 years? That takes a lot of dedication, so congratulations on finally finishing it and being able to show it off.
Thank you, thank you.
And so, for those of you who don't know, Bewildebeest is the Twilight Princess All Dungeons RTA speedrun world record holder. So, Beast, would you like to explain for us what the All Dungeons category entails?
Sure thing. It entails beating all of the dungeons. And what that means, in this game we have 9 dungeons. We've got the 3 fused shadow dungeons at the beginning, the 4 mirror shard dungeons after that, and the 2 endgame dungeons. We're going to beat all of them. And for a little bit of context, any percent does not beat all of those dungeons. It only beats 5 of them. It enters 2 of them for dungeon items or 2 of the others for dungeon items and just ignores 2 of them completely. So this goes through a bit more of the game than any percent does. And it's worth noting now, though this will come back up again later, that our community definition of beating a dungeon is reaching the save prompt at the end of the dungeon. All of them, except for Hyrule Castle, have a save prompt at the end. So more on that in like some number of hours.
All right. Well, so hope you guys have all the context you need before we get started. Also, just note that the timer that you see on screen is going to be displaying the RTA time of the run. The RTA speedrun communities and the TAS communities like time things differently, but we're going to be displaying the RTA time of the run today, which is going to start when we press A on like the brightness checking screen before playing the game, and then will end when Link stabs Ganondorf in the chest after beating all the dungeons. So yeah, hope you guys are ready, and we will begin the playback in 3, 2, 1, go.
So task timing would start when launching the game in the emulator, and it would end on the final input, which for this game is about 12 minutes into the credits.
Yeah, so you might notice that the game is also being run in German, because the German text is a few seconds faster than English and is the fastest one, or is the fastest language we have available. And the time has begun.
So one great thing about Twilight Princess speedruns is that the action starts immediately after 9 seconds or so. And so Eck is going to start off by rolling over here and doing a well-known trick called Back in Time. He's going to do a gate clip to get to an area where he can void, and then will void and reset the game on the same frame, causing Link to respawn on the title screen. From there, he can make a save with all of the appurtenances that Link has on the title screen file, most important of which are that he has a sword, which will save us a little bit of time, though he only technically kind of has it. And he has the flag for having tamed Epona. So he's just done the gate clip, backflipped to Void, and is resetting. Now he's on the title screen. We'll Void once to get rid of the splash screen, so that he can then press start and make a save.
That's being said. Oh, sorry, you can
Go ahead.
finish.
Oh, well, just to finish, the importance of having the flag set for having tamed Epona is that it means that we can get the Iron Boots early, which we'll do in just a few minutes, rather than having to come back after doing some other stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Oh. You could say it too if you want.
I think one's enough.
Okay.
Yeah, so now we're rolling through after saving the file back to Farron. I need to get the lantern to progress through to the cave. The sword and the shield are, or I guess specifically just the sword, is going to help us skip the first 2 days of Orden by being able to break the cage that is holding Talo and the monkey in front of the Forest Temple.
And technically, if you've watched a no save and quit run of Twilight Princess, you can break that cage without any weaponry at all. It's just very slow and very fraught.
And I should also mention that you don't actually have the sword and shield in your inventory. So that's gonna be important for a trick coming up later.
Yep.
In about 10 minutes. Little less than 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
so-
section is just some scripted intro, but I think it's a good time to talk a little bit about the basic movement that you're seeing. You're seeing a lot of targeting and rolling. Can you
Yeah.
elaborate?
Yeah, of course. So obviously, as you might be able to tell, the fastest way to move as a human is by rolling. And one annoying thing about this game is that slopes slow you down a lot. And so right in this area, you saw me take some kind of weird paths, and that was just to try and avoid slopes as best as possible so we can stay on max speed. And there's actually a technique we can utilize called brake sliding that can kind of negate this problem by tricking the games that we're going down the slope. And this can be done both as human as a wolf. And you're going to see the first one right here.
Yeah, so Break Slide is essentially anytime you see Link moonwalking. When you trigger a Break Slide, Link's speed value actually becomes negative in-game. And because he's also facing the direction of, like, not going up the slope, the game doesn't really reduce his speed at all, like it would if you were just trying to run straight up the slope.
You'll see
This is
quite a bit of that
barely
as well.
utilized as human because it doesn't save a lot of time as human. Because you don't store like all the speed from a full speed roll. But as wolf, you get pretty much full speed. So it's gonna be used a lot more there.
Yeah, usually as human Link, you're only using brake sliding if the slope is, like, really bad, like back in the mist area back there, or if you're, like, you don't have enough space to, like, do another roll before, like,
Yeah.
opening a door or something.
Or, doing it in sand or snow as well. That has slightly different effects.
Alright, who's ready for goats?
Everyone's
me.
favorite section.
How long do you think it'll take? I think most RTA runners. I've seen a few 15s, some 16s.
Most of the time
20.
it's usually around, like, 18 seconds is usually the, like,
Anything
average
sub
run.
20 is good RTA, really. And I don't think anyone really resets if getting like a 22. But since this is a TAS, it's fast.
14:05.
A really fast opponent slide into break slide.
And
Yeah,
yeah, this is where having Epona tamed will come in handy because we can now get the Iron Boots way earlier than intended.
Yeah, so because the back in time file set the set the tamed Epona flag, which you normally only get in Kakariko Village, this opens up this door, or that flag opens up this door in Orton Village, and we can go and talk to the Mayor Bo, who is going to be giving us the iron boots as soon as we get through his text here. His text sequence is a little glitchy because while we do have the tamed Epona flag, the state of Orden has not advanced to where Bo is expecting to have this long string of text for us here, so we have to talk to him multiple times to clear all of that text to finally get to the wrestling section.
And there would actually be some really interesting effects if we were to go partway through that conversation but not finish it. The conversation that's scripted for the cutscene, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later, because that will be used in this run, just not with Bo.
And the fastest way to defeat Bo is by slapping him once and then just pushing him off. And you need to do this twice.
Yeah, to one-cycle Bo like that takes a mashing speed of about, what was it, 12, 13 hertz?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Of course, TAS does perfect mashing at 15 button presses per second.
Yeah.
Very easily get Bo out of the ring.
And perfect mashing is actually faster than, well, like faster in the game, faster for pushing Bo off than 13 hertz, right?
I'm actually not sure about that.
I don't know the answer to that. It should be a little faster, maybe like 1 or 2 frames, I'm guessing.
Also, shoutouts to the 642 iron boots.
Yeah.
I believe the fastest RTA time is a 703.
702,
I think
I
702.
702.
Yeah. That's nuts.
Right here, you're gonna see me save. That's gonna be important for a glitch down later. And we'll explain when it comes to that.
Yeah, there will be more back in time shenanigans happening later.
Actually, say goodbye to Orden Village. This is the last time we see it.
We don't really like the village that much.
We do spend a lot of time here, don't we?
Yeah, maybe in an RTA scenario.
Yeah, getting the
Oh,
iron
that
boots
breaks
early mostly saves time because it means we don't have to come back to Orden Village later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, coming back would be very, very slow, even though we have the Master Sword, because we don't have the portal. And if we were to get the portal, we'd have to not do back in time, and that's a whole can of worms.
Alright, so right here, Ekke's gonna do a really cool swag strat called Box Breaker, which saves 3 frames, where if you V-attack at the very end before the fade-out finishes here, you can actually get enough distance to break the box during the fade-out, and then you don't have to break it afterwards.
This is also done RTA. I don't know, is it frame perfect, Beast?
What?
Or is-
Box break?
Yeah.
No, not
Oh.
not even close.
Oh, right.
Like I don't know the window, but it definitely doesn't feel it.
Right.
Now we're in the sewers. This is basically just the Wolflink tutorial area, where we learn about all the capabilities that Wolflink has. The one technique that is done a lot here is a technique called dash canceling. So when Wolflink dashes, normally you have to wait about 2 seconds before you can dash again. But if you cancel the dash within, I think, an 11-frame window after you start it, either by like jumping off of a ledge or attacking, you can actually dash again right away as soon as like you're on the ground and able to move. So we do that a lot here just to make sure that we can always, you know, get full speed as Wolflink when he's on the ground without having to wait for like a second or something.
You can also cancel a dash by bonking, but not faster usually.
And here if you set it, but you can also jump off a ledge. If you dash off a ledge, it also cancels the dash.
Yeah. And there are a ton of very small time savers that you can do in sewers. Oh, right, I guess we didn't know about that one yet.
Yeah, this was way before
Yeah.
it was discovered that you can talk to Midna there.
So Ek
Just a
has
little
to
faster.
miss this jump on the first go-around. He didn't just make a mistake. But he did skip the mid-text that you would get if you landed in the water. And then you also got a 1-frame, I don't know what to call that, an early jump, I guess. Usually just refer to them as 1-framers. On the Midna jump, when you have a Midna jump after a text box, except for one time in the game, there's 1 frame where you can initiate the jump as Midna is flying away, so you don't have to watch the animation first. And there are 3 times that happens in this section. one is right here. There he goes.
Also,
Nice
after
bonk.
the cutscene here, there's one frame where you can jump attack to skip the midna text. And this happens a lot in this game, that there's one
Yeah.
frame where you can just do something before usually a cutscene or like a text trigger.
If you're at all familiar with Twilight Princess speedrunning, you've probably heard of Gorge Void. That's the same thing. But it is not seen in this run.
In fact, we don't even go to the gorge.
Spoilers.
We do something even cooler, it's okay.
Yeah. That roof break slide was really cool.
Alright, so now we've completed the sewers, and now it's time for another fan favorite of all Twilight Princess runners, the Sword and Shield skip.
Yay!
So when
And that's- Yeah, I said
respawning,
earlier that you don't have the sword and shield in your inventory, and Midna won't let you go to Farron if you don't get the sword and shield. But we already have them, but we don't have them. It's kind of a weird state. So we're gonna have to do an enemy super jump to jump over her trigger where she tells you you have to sword and shield before going there.
And if you land in that trigger by accident, she calls you thick. We definitely don't want that, so gonna have to jump over.
Also picking up some rupees along the way, because rupees will be necessary to repair the city and the sky cannon later in the run, and also buy bombs from barns.
So we need 420 rupees in total.
Yep, that is not a joke.
Oh yeah.
Alright,
Oh,
so
nice
right-
blue. Great RNG.
yeah, so this is just done super fast, just push the bold one away and immediately jump.
That's amazing. What time is this enter, Farron?
12:35.
Oh, that's disgusting. In a good way.
Alright, so right here, this is the first required Shadow Beast fight. This is the Shadow Beast fight where we learn the Midna B charge, so skipping it would not really be good even if we could. The first time you try to fight the Shadow Beast here, you're scripted to fail, so that's not a mistake. Like, you have to fail the first time before Midna calls you an idiot and gives you the ability to do the B charge. You will see that Ekke, though, is going to try to hit all of the Shadow Beasts at the same frame, or on the same frame when he can. Because every time you hit a Shadow Beast with a quick spin like that, the game actually applies a hit stun effect, which essentially pauses the game for like a few frames for dramatic effect. But if you can get a hit stun effect on two enemies at the same time, on the same frame, then you only get one hit stun effect. So that you can save those frames during the fight.
This isn't unique to Shadow Beast. It happens with most enemies in the game. So whenever we can, if there are multiple enemies, we wanna try to kill as many of them on the same frame as possible. And this
here's a-
category does require us to clear the Twilight here.
Yeah, this is one of the first signs of route variations between this and anything else. So we're going to clear Fair and Twilight. And we're going to clear all the Twilights in this run. And that's just because there's, there are two main ways to get to the gorge, or rather to get to Kakariko. And one is to cross the gorge just by, crossing the map. And that usually involves rupee roll or an opponent's side, something or other. And then another is to use back in time or a specific application of it. And which one is faster just depends on what your goals are for this category. It is faster not to go to the gorge and just to kind of warp there via back in time.
In an RTA run, for any percent, you'd have to go to the gorge because it gives you map warping, which allows you to warp just from opening the map. You don't have to talk to Midna. And that's required for warping the cannon to Lake Hylia
Oh, that was
if you do early city.
That was a cool blue rupee.
Yeah.
So you might be noticing that Ekke is not picking up all of the tiers right now. When you kill like one of the shadow bugs, or the twilight bugs, there's like this delay before you can actually collect the tier that they form up. But we're going to be running back through this path in Farronwoods later, so it's actually faster to just collect the tiers while running through that path again, and just letting them like form up now. So we don't have to wait for them at all. Also, nice jumps.
Oh man! I love it. I forgot to expect him. Yeah, there are some tiers that he does wait around and collect just because it would be a pain to get back to where they're sitting. But yeah, as Jim said, we're going to be running back through here anyway.
You're gonna see 2 super jumps up ahead that were really tedious to TAS because RNG manipulating the key's position is very annoying.
Oh man. And then he's totally ignoring these bugs because if he comes back later to get them, he doesn't need to dig them up. But speaking of super jumps, we've got one known as Early Master Sword or EMS right here. It's just going to position the Shadow Beast, charge attack him, and land up on this out of bounds ledge. And that way you can get to the Sacred Grove early. The Sacred Grove is where you're supposed to get the Master Sword after beating 3 dungeons, but the entrance is just always here, so if you can get there by some virtue of geometry, then you can get the Master Sword 20 minutes into the run.
I guess we also forget to mention what a super jump is.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
basically
yeah.
if you jump attack to an enemy that is slightly higher elevated than you, your speed will become much greater, so that you can reach the enemy. Kind
Yeah,
of.
we'll take advantage of that a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now in the Sacred Grove, not a whole lot happening, just kind of chasing around Skull Kid, break sliding here and there. So Ek mentioned that manipulating the key spec with those super jumps in the mist area was really annoying. So in a TAS, you can essentially just keep on retrying things as you're TASing until you get the result that you want, like for an RNG call, for instance. So typically what you'll do in a TAS, at least for Twilight Princess, is you'll like try to move the camera around in different ways or like move around slightly differently to affect the RNG values that get called for what you want, so that you can get the desirable outcome for any RNG that there might be. And in Twilight Princess, there is actually quite a lot of RNG spread out through the whole run, so...
You don't say.
Also, you can't break slide when enemies are too close to you because you'll just target them and it'll mess up the direction and everything of the slide.
Oh, and X running all the way to the edge to hit Skull Kid here so that Wolflink lands on the ground. You can see Skull Kid is looking at the ground right now. Oh, and also Wolflink appears there, though. Looks like you almost might be able to catch up to him.
Oh, you got him.
Doesn't
What do you
actually
hear?
save time,
What do you
it
call it?
just looks funny.
Yeah, so right here, Ek is specifically only attacking a single puppet because you have to kill at least one puppet before Skull Kid can become vulnerable again on each of these cycles. But you don't want to kill more than one because then that creates more hit-stop effects, which would just waste frames.
Really nice rupee RNG.
Yeah, wow.
Can you collect some more rupees here when there's downtime? We have to wait for Skull Kid to blow his horn so we can attack him.
How many do you have already? Like
think it's
20,
like 20?
25? 20, yeah. That is a lot.
Alright, now time for the hardest puzzle in the game. You know this is a task because Ek's gonna do the puzzle first try, without having to consult a guide anywhere.
Most Twilight Princess speedruns end here. Can't figure out the puzzle.
Puzzle actually was RNG though, that would be awful.
That would be awful. Well, I say awful, it would be a very different speedrun. We'd all get really good at puzzle solving.
True. Yeah, so the fastest solution to this puzzle is just 12 moves. Because the puzzle is, like, symmetrical, you can actually do it in one of two ways. You can do it either the way that Ekke did it here, or you can do, like, the mirror of the moves he made, and it'll all still work out the same. And we get the Master Sword at 20 minutes and 46 seconds.
20:46, man. I think that's faster than anyone's gotten the Master Sword in any percent, which does significantly less between the beginning and now. Any RTA runner, I mean. That's fast.
Yeah, so this is one of the only times in the run that we have a cutscene where we don't have to actually give the game any input.
Yeah. Actually, it's probably a good point in the run to talk... Oh, actually, it's probably a really good point in the run to talk about why we're getting the Master Sword, huh? Didn't really mention that. So it's important to get the Master Sword early for speedruns because the Master Sword gives us a lot of capabilities. Number one, it lets us transform at will from wolf to human. Number two, it lets us teleport, or warp rather, any place we want to at any time. Well, roughly any time. It's also really nice for combat. It does twice the damage of the Ordnance Sword, so that'll actually be useful for boss and mini-boss fights. And, very notably, it'll allow us to get into Lakebed Temple early without drowning. Because when you have the Master Sword... Well, we'll explain this a little bit more when we get there, but it's important for that as well. So this detour is going to save us quite a bit of time.
You know, Ekke, I'd heard this was an all-dungeon speedrun, but we haven't actually done any dungeons yet. When are we going to get to those?
Kind of awkward.
Very soon we will see the first dungeon, but it's still a long run, so they're going to be very spread out.
Yeah, there are a lot of scripted things we have to get through. There's the beginning that we've just seen. There are the 3 Twilights. But aside from that, this run... Well, and MDH, I suppose. This run will just be getting to dungeons and doing them. And the dungeons in this run are so cool. I'm so looking forward to them.
Yeah, you guys are really in for a treat. Especially
Not
for the
for the rest.
dungeons that you don't see in any percent.
Yeah.
Also, yes, I see someone mention it in chat. We're not actually ever going to use Epona. Which is kind of funny.
Oh, yeah.
Except for...
Oh, right, never mind,
think-
that's not true at all.
The King Goblin. Yeah, there's less Epona than an RTA all dungeons run.
Yeah, so here are the tiers that were mentioned earlier. They're just sitting out here, and we can now just walk by and collect them. Also, this gate doesn't exist now, so, yeah.
I forgot it existed before and doesn't exist now.
This is the first case of something being discovered after I've already progressed for a certain amount of time. I would have to redo a lot to do that gate clip the first time as well, and I didn't feel like doing that.
Yeah, as I said, he was working on this for 4 years, and there were significant gaps between, you know, passing one section and passing another, so there are times when something was discovered between passing segments, and it just didn't make sense to go back. I think that TASs are really cool as an historical document for that reason.
Yeah, so little thing, every time that Ekke collects a blue or yellow rupee, you see him like side hopping or jump attacking into the rupee, and that's to avoid getting the like, you got a yellow rupee or you got a blue rupee text. Pretty much for the entirety of the run, that's going to be happening. So we never get that text box. And now we've almost collected all of the tiers. We still got 2 more up here. We're gonna kill the bugs here, but not actually collect them yet because we want to go into Forest Temple first for a little bit before we finish the Fair and Twilight.
There's a very interesting thing that happens at the beginning of Forest Temple that, Jim, I think you were going to explain.
Yeah, so the beginning of Forest Temple is probably one of the more confusing parts of the run, like just to watch with no context. So immediately after entering, Ekke's gonna save the game, and then he's gonna turn around and jump attack out of bounds into the void of, like, the Forest Temple, and he's gonna perform back in time using this void. So that we can do a trick called, ultimately, which is gonna be called Early Monkeys, that will give us a bunch of monkeys in Forest Temple. So now that he's on the title screen, he's going to void out and then load the file that was saved in Orden Village earlier. And due to some properties on this file, this is going to load us into the King Bulblin fight. But we're not actually going to fight King Bulblin, we're just going to reset the game and then skip the cutscene that happens right before the fight. You didn't see it right there because it happened on like the last possible frame, but the skip text did come up. And now, what skipping that cutscene and resetting the game has done is it's locked in this value called the boss flag in memory, which is normally supposed to count down during that cutscene skip, but it got stopped because we reset the game during that cutscene skip. And that value is used mostly in the game to like determine if you should see a boss introduction cutscene or not. But just kind of coincidentally, it also happens to be used to keep track of the number of monkeys that Link has in Forest Temple. So
Double spider skip.
Also,
Sorry.
yes. no, I think that's appropriate, yeah. Skipping these 2 spiders pretty much never happens, RTA. So when Link enters the next room after this one, you're going to see some more monkeys just kind of magically appear, so that we can get to the Gale Boomerang without having to do basically any of the dungeon.
Fortunately, because we are actually going to beat this dungeon, since this is all dungeons, there is going to be more to Forest Temple than just this, and any percent we just get the boomerang and skedaddle.
We're gonna do the same thing here, but we're coming back later.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
There is a reason for that, which I'll explain soon.
Very convenient monkeys.
Alright, so with the Master Sword here, this fight becomes very short. RNG manipulates Ook to only hop twice, which is the minimum amount of hops, and then just does a jump/quick spin and a stab. And because the Master Sword does so much damage, it's able to very easily kill Ook in a single cycle.
Yeah, the HD version of the game doesn't have early Master Sword, or at least not a speedrun viable one. And that's why if you watch an HD speedrun, they'll take 2 cycles to beat Ook. They're doing their best.
One day it'll happen.
Yep. Not after that, just the one day.
Yeah, it'll only be available for one day. Alright, now here's everyone's favorite item, which I'm sure you all remember as the Sturm Boomerang.
Yep.
Otherwise known as the Gale Boomerang in English. The Gale Boomerang...
Broken item of the game.
Yeah, the Gale Boomerang is going to allow us to do a lot of fun stuff, so I hope you guys are excited. There was a glitch that was mentioned earlier called the long jump attack, which is what the boomerang is going to allow us to do. And this glitch is specific to the GameCube the glitch with the Gale Boomerang is specific to the GameCube version Seahorse Link of Twilight Princess. So this is why the run is being done on the GameCube version of the game and not the Wii version.
So the reason why we just don't complete Forest Temple here in one go is that entering the Diababa fight will clear the boss flag value entirely, and it can't be used, and we're gonna have to use it coming up ahead for the mini-boss in Lakebed Temple.
Yeah, if we didn't have it for... Well, here's an example of an LJA first. That LJA is preventing Ekke from running into a Midna text tree or saying, hey, go back, you haven't beaten Forest Temple yet, is known as Forest Escape, and it just barely works. There's just such small margin for error, and it's incredible to see. You know, it is a TAS, but a run where someone just runs up to the edge and does it. But yeah, if it weren't for having EBF set, then we would not really be able to enter the Deku Toad fight without Zora armor and or bombs. Well, bombs aren't really necessary, at least Zora armor. But we have it set. So what RTA runs do, because RTA runs don't support Forest Temple, you just come back and reset EBF in a different way later.
Also, there was another example of a gate that doesn't exist.
Yep.
So right here, things look very strange with this green background and like glitchy kind of texturing over Lake Hylia. This is just what the game looks like if you go into a Twilight section without actually having cleared the Twilight or like properly loaded the Twilight section, like it is right now. So that's why it looked weird back there.
And if you've seen an RTA speedrun before, you might be wondering why Eck isn't doing Pillar Clip right now to get into Lakebed Temple early. He's going to do something far cooler instead. You will see.
Oh, Blue Rupee.
Yep. And with that Blue Rupee text box, he has gotten all the way down to the bottom of Lake Hylia. It's called a Rupee Dive. And there he is getting into the load zone.
Also, since we have the Master Sword, or rather because we have the Master Sword, if we save warp here, it will put us in the end of this room, so we can avoid drowning. And this only works if you have the Master Sword, so it's very convenient.
Yeah, so that Rupee diving trick is not RTA viable just because the positioning and timing for it is just way too precise to do consistently.
Is the Blue Rupee RTA or RNG as well?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, the gate skip. I forgot about that.
But yeah, once again, another gate that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
With a precise angle, you can just backflip through it.
So
yeah,
we're
if you
gonna
watch
see.
Lakebed Temple. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you're gonna see a lot of long jump attacks here in Lakebed Temple.
Oh, the tiny boots equip is so good.
You can play around with them quite a lot here.
Oh, so the first goal in Lakebed is to get Uku, because we're going to have to come back later to beat Morpheal. And Eck is going to do this in a very interesting way that you would not see in an RTA run. Whee!
Yeah, so in an RTA run, you would basically just move the staircase, and then like run up and down it to go around to get Uku. But doing that complicated sequence saves, I forget how much time, like 10 seconds or something.
I don't remember the number. It's been too long.
I don't want to think about the number, so I don't want to go for it.
And then 2 more LJAs here. There's enough time to just use the single boomerang target for both of them. And like it was mentioned earlier, we can just enter the Deku Toad room from the backside, and because the early boss flag is set, all we have to do is look up at the ceiling in this room, and the game will teleport us into the middle so that it can actually set up the Deku Toad fight properly.
Yeah, so normally without EBF set, you would have to enter from the hole on the right side of the screen that's in the ground. And then a cutscene would play, and then you would be able to look up at the ceiling and start the fight. But as you mentioned earlier, having EBF skips, or tells the game that you're not supposed to watch the intro cutscene anymore. Well, here's a quick 1 cycle. This is only possible because of the Master Sword as well. It's got to fit 10 strokes into a very short period of time. That one is RTA viable, though. People do that all the time.
Whoa, vanilla claw shot.
That's not a claw shot, that's a Greif hacking.
Oh, right, sorry.
So we can't complete the dungeon yet because we don't have water bombs, and we'll explain why that's necessary later.
Yeah, so we didn't beat Forest Temple. First off, we went to get the boomerang from Forest Temple for somewhat obvious reasons at this point. Boomerang is how we're going to get around in a lot of places with LJAs. But we didn't finish it yet because of what X said earlier, that it was good to have EBF set for Deku Toad. But we're also not going to finish Lakebed because we don't have a way to kill Morpheal, which ultimately would be water bombs. Could be Zora armor, if you don't want any spoilers. Who knows?
And I was gonna say we also need iron boots, but I was like, wait, we have the iron boots.
Yep. But we also needed, well, need is a strong word, but we also want Uku. Uku's going to have another use in this run.
Yeah, that's true. So now it's time to fight the Kargarok with the Twilight Boblin on top of it. It was actually just recently figured out that you can do this fight a little bit faster if you run away immediately, like to a specific part of the map to cause the card rock to fly away sooner. But because this wasn't known at the time in the TAS, Ekke just kind of messing around here. Still got a pretty quick flight, though.
And to actually kill the Bulblin, all you need to do is drown it. I mean, you could fight the Cargrock first, but if you just lure it into the water, then it'll drown and explode. And as long as he's careful not to get grabbed by the Cargrock, then we'll be able to move right along. If you do get grabbed by the Cargrock while drowning the Bulblin, then the game crashes. And that would be unfortunate for this task.
And so right here, coming up for the Cargrock flight, Ekke's gonna clip out of bounds here. And this saves a few seconds on this flight because this allows us to just fly in a straight line to the end of Zora's River right here. Otherwise, you have to follow like the zigzag of the path, which you can see on the map in the bottom left, and that's just a few seconds slower. This sequence, interestingly, or this map in general, there isn't actually a loading zone at the end of the map, like you would kind of expect. The game is actually checking every single frame to see if Wolflink's, I think it's his Z coordinate, is above a certain value, and when it goes above that value, it then triggers the loading sequence into Upper Zora's River. And Ekke's also kind of like, the game right here is trying to like steer Ekke back in the correct direction towards like where the path actually is, which is why Ekke's kind of having to fight against it by flying to the left.
Our goal here is just to reach the top of Zora's domain and get the warp portal. And we can leave and finish Forest Temple.
Yeah, so the warp portal up here is necessary for starting the linear route Twilight, and it's simply fastest to get it now, after having dipped into Lakebed Temple, because you have to go through this sequence to get up here anyway.
Oh, I mentioned earlier that on midden jumps that start with a text box, there is a one-frame window where you can get an early jump. This is the one where that doesn't exist. There's a text box, but you can't get an early jump.
It was programmed correctly.
Yep. Incorrectly by
Can't be
myself.
said for many things.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole game here.
Yeah.
All the mini LJAs off the keys. Oh yeah, it's worth noting, we talked about LJAs in the context of the boomerang before, but it actually, you can do LJAs off of any targetable object or enemy. Under the right circumstances. Oh, one other optimization that Ekke is doing here is that in the Shadow Beast fights, he's targeting only 2 of the Shadow Beasts. Like, the way they work is that you have to kill the final 2 or more at once in one charge attack. But each time you target a separate one, Link does an extra jump, whether he's already killed all of them or not. So he's targeting 1 to kill it, and then for the 2 left, he's only targeting 1 of them and killing both of them with that 1 attack to save a little bit of time.
Alright, so right here, Ekke's gonna be saving, and then he's gonna do back in time again, but he's gonna do back in time with a method that you might not have seen before, right? He's actually gonna do back in time using Uku Jr. So on a specific frame, he's gonna reset during this animation, and Link will now Uku into the title screen.
It is amazing.
And so this specific sequence is so that we can load the King Bulblin fight again, except this time we're actually going to fight King Bulblin so that we can get to Kakariko Village and start the Elden Twilight. However,
Yeah,
because we have the claw shot during this fight, we can actually use that as a way to attack King Bulblin.
Yeah, the second phase is good too.
Pay attention to Epona in the cutscene.
King Bulblin will yield to the power of the claw shot.
This is extremely precise, by the way.
Whee!
Yep. So I think it's really cool that the 3 uses that Back in Time gets in this run are actually for totally different purposes. even though they have some similarities. The first is to make the back-in-time save. The second is to get early boss flags. And the third one is to actually get to Kakariko. And so now that he's
Kakariko
here...
is now in an incorrect state, so we're gonna have to reload the area in order to progress. And the fastest way to do this is to void out, which we can do by glitching through the wall with the help of Epona.
And so now we're in Kakariko without ever having visited the gorge. And what's really interesting about that is that visiting the gorge is the only way to get map warping, and map warping is pretty important for a few reasons in RTA speedruns. One, we use it to warp the sky cannon, usually. And two, we use it to get map glitch, which we'll explain a little bit later when it comes up. So we're going to have to find ways to work around both of those things for this category, or for this task, rather.
Now it's time for the Elden Twilight. Mostly the same as you would see in RTA, except with all the cool TAS micro-optimizations. Nice clip out of bounds.
Yep. Oh! That's cool. Oh yeah, and he's going to be pushing all the bugs around to make the tiers more easily collectible.
And so the Shadow Beast fight that Ekke did at the start of Kakariko Village, you are required to beat those Shadow Beasts if you want to start the Elden Twilight. Otherwise, you can't talk to the spirit for the vessel.
It'll also be helpful to warp back here later.
Yeah. Alright, so this strat's a bit interesting. If you bonk into the wall and then hold and then stay in like a specific position there, the bug will actually just come down to you. You don't have to go up and try to like finagle it up top.
I don't remember how the next two bugs go, but I feel like I remember them being really cool.
Oh, they are, don't worry. Also, nice sign jump.
Yep.
Shoutouts to the very first TP test that also did that. Not by gymnasts.
Who was it by?
It was by Rachel and Fino.
Oh, yeah.
It's another yellow
And-
rupee.
Yeah. Very good. That's crazy.
Yeah, one thing that you don't really realize watching this TAS, obviously, but it's very difficult to control Wolf-Link like this.
Yeah.
Like Wolf-Link kind of just like it's really hard to like make Wolf-Link do exactly what you want just due to like how his attacking works. So like doing all of this and not like accidentally bonking on something is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there are some sections of this task where X's going to be doing crazy things that we really just can't do RTA. But as Jim said, this is mostly the same strats in general as an RTA Elden Twilight. It's just ridiculously fast. Everything's very clean.
Coming up next is the bomb house skip.
Yeah, don't blink, you'll miss it. This skip takes a little while, RTA, but it's so fast in the task. There it is.
If we could kill the bug before it enters the house, it just counts as, I don't know, the house already being blown up, which is convenient.
Yeah, and then to skip a text trigger, he like jumped back over to the stairs there. Otherwise, he would have gotten the text where Midna was like, "Whoa, the house blew up," or something like that.
And Eck mentioned earlier that brake sliding is way more useful for Wolf than for human, and that's why we're seeing so much of it now, is that we've got all these slopes to run up, and that just preserves Wolf-Link's speed very well. Oh, the rupees. Oh, the rupees. He just got like 22.
I did see the 69 rupee count there for a second.
Nice.
I missed that.
Oh yeah, I actually want to go back to something that I didn't have a chance to talk about earlier. The Uku back in time. That is RTA viable, kind of. The reason that we don't do it is that it's frame perfect. Well, all back in time is frame perfect, but for most instances of back in time, we can use setups to make it much easier to do for a person. But for Uku back in time, it's frame perfect, and there isn't really a great way to set it up. And you might think you could, time it with a metronome or something, but the amount of time that you have to wait before resetting actually depends on Uku Jr.'s flapping animation around Link's head. So it's just a very inconsistent strat, so seeing that outside of a TAS is very unusual.
So now we got the first Shadow Beast fight with 4 Shadow Beasts. Game's getting more difficult.
You might notice me just running past the Howling Stones. You only need one hidden skill to beat the game, which is the first one you get, Ending Blow. And that's needed to do the final hit on Ganondorf.
Yep, you can get all the way to the final fight with Ganondorf without having Ending Blow, and then once you get there, you just can't finish.
I think
The
like 2
very
runners
last
have done
video.
that on accident.
I think I've heard
Having
of
done the
at least
whole
4.
run. Oh, maybe it's more.
Yeah, I've done that on accident. In like the second run I ever did.
Shout out to Sky and Venick.
Yeah.
Alright, and
And
that is
DVD.
Elden Twilight.
So we just got
We just
one
gotta
more
do-
Twilight to complete,
Yeah.
and we've already got everything set up so that we can start it. Just need to warp to Death Mountain, get the volcanic rock, I'll call it that, and warp it to Zora's Domain to unfreeze it.
Yeah, so this is the reason that we have to complete Elden Twilight is because you literally can't start the Lanayru Twilight until the Elden Twilight is finished, because you need this meteor that comes down to break the ice in Zora's Domain.
No, it's not no dungeons 47 minutes in, it's 2 halves of 2 dungeons. Or it's 1 half of each of 2 dungeons. That counts as a dungeon, right?
I feel like that's more like half A plus half B.
Yeah. Well, don't worry, it'll be more of a dungeon rush later because of all of this we're getting done now. Oh, this is very cool. So normally, an RTA runner would transform into human here and use the iron boots to exit this area underwater, as Ekke just did as Wolf. And that skips a cutscene with Queen Rutella. And it's RTA viable to do the trick, just not as Wolf. That was crazy.
Yeah, so this means that Ekke doesn't have to transform again, and that bug has already been killed, so he doesn't have to kill it later. The tear's already just out there. And for once in Twilight Princess speedrun, Link is actually Wolf when the wolf howl happens there.
Yep. Yeah, the bugs are there before getting the vessel, but you can't collect the tears yet.
It should be mentioned that bug super jump was found by completely an accident by fellow runner Habreno.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the TAS only trick was accidentally discovered RTA. Sometimes those things happen.
Oh, there's gonna be a cool jump in a second, isn't there?
Yeah.
Oh, I left the bonk. Whoa, cool jump.
That saves like half a second. can manipulate another blue rupee.
Whoa! I didn't even know there was a dig spot there. So we're working back to Zora's domain, and the tier is already here, because they already killed the bug.
We're gonna have to transform to human again, because we need to skip the Retella cutscene another time.
But
We get something pretty nice out of being human here. If you've seen an
It's
RTA
worth
speedrun
it.
of this, you are familiar with waterfall side hop. Ek is not going to do that.
instead, it's waterfall claw shot grab.
With the double hand grab, too. And that is essentially impossible to do with RTA. I don't think anyone's ever gotten it.
One person, I think it's Doshu, got it once.
Oh,
after-
Doshi got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was anyone, it would have been him.
Nice
The
lily
double
pad
kill.
bugs. RTA runners screaming in jealousy right now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of bug RNG to deal with in the Twilight. Mostly Leneru. And Ek just seems to be getting a lot of good RNG today.
That's crazy. Yeah, so Leneru Twilight is the longest Twilight section out of the three, and that's pretty much all because there's one bug that we have to get in Castletown, which requires, like, a minute of just pure running to go and get, maybe a little bit longer than that.
Yeah. And it is unfortunate, you know, it is kind of boring to just run straight in a speed run. But, at the same time, the purpose of the Twilights in just, like, casual gameplay is to introduce you to a new area, and it is pretty cool that Leneru is so big. Copium.
But also because this is a TAS, it's not just going to be regular running, this is advanced running, otherwise known as brake sliding. Eventually the brake slide speed tapers off enough that it's faster to turn around, run forward again, and then do another one, because brake slide speed does slowly taper off over time.
So the exact speed values, running as Wolf in this area is 45, but if you're going uphill, it goes down to 38. And if you do a brake slide, it's gonna be something like minus 43 or something, and then slowly decaying in speed. So that's why I do it twice, or 3 times in total, in that area.
Yeah, we usually don't associate units with in-game speeds just because it's in the game and it doesn't really make any physical sense, as long as we have numbers to compare. But it is in-game units per frame.
Yeah, I think the units are probably supposed to represent, like, centimeters per frame. Like, in the world, or at least something close to that.
Yeah, I've not tried to estimate. I mean, for all we know, Link is 20 feet tall.
True. Yeah, so we're almost to the bug in Castletown. Some interesting movement here in Castletown. We're actually just going to constantly be doing dash canceling as Wolf Link, because Wolf Link's base running speed here is just so slow that doing this constant dash canceling ends up being faster.
If you ever see Ek waiting to kill a bug after it seems to have landed and has become vulnerable, it hasn't become vulnerable yet. That bug, for example, cannot be killed until it has fallen off the ledge.
Nice
Oh,
RNG
nice.
manipulation.
bug is usually way higher up, so you're gonna have to wait for it to fly down. But with RNG manipulation, you can get him
Oh, dude, you
much
messed up the
closer to
song.
you. Yeah, the songs are not very precise at all.
I like to think of them as freestyle.
It's jazz.
Yeah, the jazz arrangement.
And so when collecting the bugs here on the river, Ekk's not gonna like clip out of bounds again because the bugs are kind of in the center here where we have to fly. And we also don't have to go entirely to the end of the river. Once we get all the bugs, we can just bonk and like void out back to Lake Hylia, which is where we want to be next anyway. How did you not bonk
no.
there?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Happy accident.
I was thinking, wow, you made a mistake. I guess we're gonna have
Here's
to come
another
in.
happy accident.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the tears from the bugs take variable amounts of time to for Wolflink to actually collect. And bonking during the same dash that you kill that last one, as Ekk just did, is very risky to do RTA because you can end up voiding out before you actually collect the tier and you have to go all the way back. But most people don't do that. And we've got one final tier to collect until we're done with the Twilights. The whole run. But it's a big one. Now, the cycles for this bug, aside from the first one, will comprise the bug flying around a little bit underwater, and at some point it'll decide to attack. When it attacks, it is possible to hit it just as it stops attacking, as that just did, make it stop in place, and then attack it far sooner than you would normally be able to. And the bug will only start to attack if it's on camera, which is why Ekke is keeping it on camera at all times. Quick
And
fight.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know you could do that there.
Yeah, so the end of that fight happens like very quickly, because if you target one of the legs of the bug and then release the mid B charge and then bonk on the bug just instantly dies, basically. Or the cutscene of the bug dying will instantly start because the game thinks that the animation is finished.
Okay, so we've got a lot of the overworld stuff out of the way. It's time to do some dungeons.
Yeah, finally, some dungeons. We're also gonna get the only required hidden skill here.
Yeah, being able to clear all of the Twilights in less than an hour is very fast.
Another reason why splitting Forest Temple is fast is because having the claw shot will save a few seconds, because we can just claw shot to the top of the vines to
Yeah.
skip climbing them.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, not a whole lot to do to speed up this part. It's just cutscenes and like one attack.
Yeah. It does take a while though, so if any glitch hunters find something to skip this cutscene, that'd be very nice.
Less new runners will lose their any % runs at the end.
Yeah, true. Well, really lose it in the middle, but don't even find out till the end.
Yeah.
So the way that dungeons in Twilight Princess work in general is that there is a dungeon item, and then like the first half of the dungeon you get the dungeon item, then the second half of the dungeon you get the boss key and you go fight the boss. And with one exception, there aren't boss key skips in Twilight Princess because of the way doors work. Even if you're able to get out of bounds and get behind them, then there isn't a loading zone there. You still have to open the door. Oh, this is one reason the claw shot's useful. So we're going to be getting the boss keys, again, with one exception, which we'll get to in a little bit. Since we already have the dungeon item, Ek will just clip
Flushed
through
out
the
through
floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you do. I get to skip one of the fans here, or targeting one of them, just to make Boomerang go a little faster. That beautiful roll to the chest. Oh my god.
Yeah, so thankfully, the boss keys surprisingly aren't all that out of the way. Except in the one dungeon where we can skip the boss key's very out of the way, so thankfully that's the one we can skip.
It's so gratifying to see perfect rolls here.
Yeah.
In Forest Temple, just all over, the ground is slightly sloped. And slight slope. Oh yeah, this is cool.
You can skip turning a bridge by going around it slightly faster.
Nice put away of the sword.
And here, usually in an RTA run, you'd see 2 LJAs to get over, but it's a little faster to use the claw shot. Since we got it.
Also, you can see Link sliding while shooting the claw shots. It was known as an L slide. After firing the claw shot, if you hold the direction on the control stick and then target, you will slide in that direction.
If anyone is hoping to see Ook right now, got some bad news for you.
Yeah, we scared him off with the Master Sword. It was too powerful.
Yep. You'll see Ek is collecting some bombs while doing this first phase of Diababa. In the second phase, he's essentially going to be doing some juggling with those 2 bombs. In the second phase, what you have to do is knock down Diababa with a bomb and then attack its tongue eyeball thing. You know, tongue eyeball thing. And normally to do that, you have to wait for Ook to bring you a bomb, but since he stored some bombs from the first phase, just take care of himself.
So there's some precise juggling that has to happen there to make sure that, you know, the second bomb that Ek is storing doesn't explode, while the first bomb explodes to hit down Diababa the first time. It's very precarious to do that in an RTA run, but because this is TAS, you can just kind of retry over and over until you manage to get that one iteration where the bomb doesn't explode when you do this really fast.
Yeah, in an RTA run, that strat, generally speaking, is viable, but there's a whole setup for it to make sure that the bomb doesn't explode, because it costs a lot of time to fail it. And, oh yeah, an operative mechanic there is that the bomb explosion timers are reset whenever they're in the boomerang. Otherwise, that wouldn't have been possible.
Alright, well, this is 1 dungeon down and 8 more to go.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it.
So that means that this run is 9 hours long, if my math is correct. We're currently just over 1 hour.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Ek, you forgot the heart container. Aren't you worried about your health?
God damn it. Sorry.
I hope you don't die later on.
Should be fine, I think.
So I mentioned before that the dungeon order as intended for this game is the 3 fused shadow dungeons, and then the 4 mirror shard dungeons, then the 2 endgame dungeons. And that means that we're going to Goron Mines next, except that we actually just warped to Zora's domain. It turns out getting to Goron Mines after you've gotten the Master Sword early is hard. It's more involved than it looks like, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. We're actually going to take care of Snow Peak Ruins first to set up for that. And you'll notice that we don't even have the fishing rod, so we can't possibly have the reek fish scent. So how are we going to get through this fog? We're going to do a technique called map glitch. And to do that, what Ekke is going to do is try to warp away, but then interrupt the warp. And he just did that. You saw a little flash of the cutscene before the map came up. He just did that by running into the cutscene trigger before the map came up. And the reason that that works is a technique called UMD, Universal Map Delay. And to do that, what you do is you choose a warp location and say, yes, let's warp there. But then if you're pressing A or B on frames in between that and the warp actually beginning, the warp will be delayed until you stop pressing A or B. And that means that you have to be pressing A and B on alternate frames, frame perfectly the whole time, that you're doing whatever you need to do to interrupt the warp. And so that's, hard. In an RTA run, the way we do it, that's double frame perfect for the instance that Ekke just did. And there's an instance later that will be very TAS only because it'll be a UMD instance that's much longer. We'll just put it that way for now.
In this scenario, we only have to delay the map for 1 frame, so it's done RTA here as well. But later, as B said, you're gonna have to frame perfectly alternate between A and B for, I think it's 3 seconds. And yeah, that's just impossible RTA.
And so the whole point of that, again, was to get map glitch. And what map glitch does is it prevents certain loading zones and void planes from working. They don't do anything, which is why he was able to get through the foggy snow area without getting voided out, even though he didn't have the reekfish set. But then he howled at that stone to get rid of it, because the stone howling load does still work. If he hadn't done that and then tried to dig into the cave while still having map glitch, he would have been stuck in the dig animation forever. And so next, Ekke is going to skip this warp portal fight just by LJAing over to a new area of the map. If you LJA close enough to where Yeto is, then it begins that cutscene without starting the warp portal cutscene.
Yeah, so there is actually another way of doing early Snow Peak that Ekke actually found about 2.5 years ago, which doesn't require map glitch and instead does a super jump off of a Wolfos enemy. But unfortunately, that can't be done here because you can't super jump, or you can't do Midna B attacks in non-Twilight areas until you complete the Midna's Desperate Hour portion of the run, which would be after Lake Bed Temple. Because otherwise Midna's not on your back. Now it's time for some blind snowboarding. So ideally, Ekke stays in the air as long as possible, because Link's speed while in the air is fastest, or Link's snowboarding speed is fastest in the air, so staying in the air for as long as possible is how we just go fast here.
2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5?
There's also a bit of a cool jump here at the end of the precarious section. He's actually going to jump from, like, this tiny section over to, like, the regular section.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Because that's faster than going around the end portion of, like, the shortcut.
There is a really cool strat where you actually just jump basically across the entire map. But unfortunately, it doesn't work for runs that are longer than just snowboarding. Oh, that was really cool. Because it requires map glitch. Otherwise, you void out. Alright, Snow Peak Ruins. This dungeon is really cool. Ha ha ha.
Ah, I get it. It's cool because there's so many long jump attacks.
So many long jump attacks, but also because there are so many sequence breaks. The very first thing we do is enter a door where we're not supposed to be able to do anything, but get across with an LJA. And as I mentioned before, the objects are to get the dungeon item, get the boss key, and then get to the boss. So we're taking just a much faster route to get to the dungeon item than we could take if we weren't doing any glitches. Need clip.
Nice bonk.
Yep, whole room shook.
I think his bonks are that powerful.
He's just very heavy.
And now that we're out to the courtyard, getting to the mini-boss is as simple as clipping through a door using this freezer. Gonna get some iframes by taking damage, and then just top right past. Use the freezer to push Link out of bounds.
Yeah, so you can see an example right there of why just simply clipping past the door is not enough. The loading sequence into this room only gets triggered when you actually open the door, so...
But thankfully that one doesn't
for
have...
every door, too.
Yeah.
Alright, so right here there's actually a strat that's really hard to see, but right when Eck defeats the Dark Hammer, there's one frame where he actually collected the ball and chain before the fight was over. So, even though the game's going to show the ball and chain like across the room from Link, Link already actually has the ball and chain. And you'll get he's going to get the text for, like, picking it up just immediately when the cutscene is over. And that's only possible if the ball and chain lands, like, in a position that's in front of Link right when the fight ends. So it's a very precise thing to do.
The rest of the stuff that we want to do in this dungeon is on the second floor, and we're only on the first floor right now. The fastest way to get up there is to do something that is really, really cool, but doesn't look like much because the TAS just makes it look so easy. We're going to use the ball and chain to get over to this side of the courtyard, and then do an LJA and boost off of this ice wall to get on that little wall, and not even take damage. And then instantly he's out. It is very, very precise. When people do that RTA, they take, 15 seconds or something to set up. Extremely specific angle and timing, and frame perfect LJA.
Yeah, so the trick is called Ice Boost, but the TAS just kind of makes it look like Ice Push.
Yeah.
Because you don't even take damage. And yeah, so now here we are in the room with the bedroom key. Not the boss key in Snow Peak Ruins.
True.
So we have to defeat all these freezers, so Eck is positioning himself in specific places that allow him to kill chill foes. Multiple chill foes at once, and also RNG manipulating some of them to drop red rupees so that he can increase his rupee count.
Yeah, that's really good RNG. Oh, nice side hop to the door, like that.
And there will
I
also
wanted to
be-
get to the door before the cutscene while also getting the rupee.
And then right here, after getting the bedroom key, there's going to be another side hop to skip a midnight text trigger. Get back to the door.
And now we'll see that Yetta is wearing her Halloween costume, even though Halloween has already passed. Yes, very nice freezered costume, Yetta. And we're at the boss door.
This fight is pretty cool in the TAS, no pun intended. But Eck's going to be doing a lot of running over to Blizzetta and then using the ball and chain because it's faster than just throwing it, like from where he's standing at the beginning. So, a very quick first phase.
Yeah. And then the second phase, there are a bunch of icicles that fall and are meant to entrap Link, and it's a whole thing. But he's going to get rid of not all of them, right? Some of them.
You
Some
actually
of them
can destroy all of them, not before they fall, but if you destroy all of them, it will make her fall down like faster too.
Oh yeah.
There's 10 in total, and you can destroy 6 before they fall down, and destroy the remaining 4 when they
Is
crash
that a
down.
triple hit?
I think that was a quad.
Nice. Oh man. Oh yep, look at that.
Then she immediately comes down because all the icicles are gone.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then just 3 straight hits, and that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Normally what's supposed to happen, or what was intended to happen, is, like, Blizetta's supposed to come down with the icicles, and you're supposed to be able to get 1 hit off on her before she gets up and reforms the icicles. But if you're fast enough with throwing the ball and chain, you can just throw it 3 times in a row to get all 3 hits in.
Yeah, that part of it is very RTA viable. The dealing with all of the icicles early is extremely difficult. If you watch an IL run, then you'll see people hitting some of them to just make it so that they take less time to fall because there are fewer total. But getting all 10 of them is nuts.
And gainer.
Very nice. That means it's going to PB.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be faster than 9 hours.
That one
Maybe
game,
8.5. We're gonna say something about the gainer,
No, we have to look into Yeto's eyes first.
right?
Oh, we have to look into his Augen. Who need mirror?
Oh, finally, another heart container.
Yeah, I know you're worried about your health because you missed that heart container earlier.
No!
So
What? Oh my goodness, what are you doing? Also, nice
Wow.
camera.
yeah, that was cool.
Can't believe we skipped 2 heart containers this run.
I like to go risky. What can I say?
So, I mentioned earlier that doing Snow Peak now was partially in preparation for doing Goron Mines because it got complicated with the Master Sword. What happens when you get the Master Sword is that the game doesn't let you start the Goron wrestling event, let's call it, that normally lets you into Goron Mines. You just can't do it. Goron's text won't allow starting it. But using a trick called text displacement, we actually can manipulate Gorkoron's text boxes to get to the text boxes where he lets you into the mines without doing any wrestling. The way he's going to do that is to talk to Russell from outside of his cutscene trigger. And that allows him to get partway through the conversation that you get through in the cutscene normally, but without progressing all the way through it. And during the cutscene's dialogue, the game is setting flags, or setting a flag rather, to mark how far into the dialogue you are. And if you do what Ekke just did and interrupt it partway through, that flag doesn't get reset, meaning that we can take it to another NPC and apply it to that NPC and get a different text box from what we normally get. So we're going to take that text displacement to Gorkoron, and Gorkoron will just allow him into the dungeon. And the reason Snow Peak is relevant to that is that Russell doesn't spawn there until Snow Peak has been completed. Like I mentioned earlier, you can get text displacement off of a few other sources. Well, a few other speedrun relevant sources are Yeta, Bo, and Koro. Koro TD you'll see in 100%. Russell TD, or rather, Bo TD you'll see in Goron Mines RTA. Oh god.
Nice job avoiding the Gorons.
That's crazy.
Also, nice backflip shield immediately stab on the Goron.
That was beautiful. Anyway, very cool thing that just happened without much being visible. Now, unfortunately, there's another thing here that wasn't discovered until Ekke had already gotten through this room in the TAS.
I don't really completed the dungeon even.
Yeah. So Ekke's voiding out now to reload the room so that the Goron guards move, but it was discovered after this that the invisible wall behind them is already gone as soon as you talk to Gorkoron, so you don't actually have to do that, you can just roll by them in a specific way. But didn't know that at the time.
And now it's time for Goron Mines. So, a lot of cool little strategies in Goron Mines here. I'm gonna immediately start things off with pipe jump. Skip having to go, or just skip having to wait for the lava fountain to go down.
That is way harder than it looks. The collision for that pipe is just tiny. Oh yeah, look at that. Very quick first room. There's the infamous strat, risky but time saver to note saves 4 seconds only in this room. Let's see if that gets it. Basically, he's going to try to make an early cycle on the spinning platforms.
Apologies about the low heart sound effect. It's just
Wolfkick-
slow to get hearts.
Wolfgate clip, I believe, is found, and you're going to use it in the Tektite room, right?
Yeah, it's just not
Yeah, but-
faster to do in the first room.
Yeah, it's
in
not
this
faster
category.
in the first room because you haven't beaten Lake Bed yet and you can't open the door as Wolf.
Hey, also, on a lot of these jumps, actually, before that, Ek's gonna clip through this this like wall that he's pulling and the wall over here, which is faster than having to like run around the entire room again. You also
Yeah,
notice that Ek is like equipping the iron boots anytime he jumps to get down to the ground faster during a lot of those jumps to save a few frames.
Not killing the Dodongo there is really cool. So unfortunately, in this category, we don't have a way to skip this key shard. The way the boss key for this dungeon works is that there are 3 key shards you collect through the dungeon, but as is kind of a theme for this game, only the last one actually matters. The boss door only checks for the 3rd one. So we are going to skip the 2nd one, which is mercifully very easy to skip. But this one can be skipped in a couple of different ways, just not... They involve things that this run doesn't have, hidden skills and magic armor, and bombs. So you'll see those in ILs, but not in this run.
Also, one thing you're going to see here with the magnet ceiling is that it's actually faster to do sword combos to move around on the ceiling instead of just walking regularly with the iron boots. As long as you're not near one of the corners here, because otherwise the sword is going to like bonk on the corner. So sometimes you just kind of have to walk.
Yeah. It is really cool how close he's getting to the corners, though.
Also, you may have seen before, there's a pretty well-known glitch where you can unequip the iron boots as you're going up to a magnet ceiling, and then you can just run around at normal speed. I believe that is only possible in the Wii 1.0 version of the game. And this is not the Wii 1.0 version, so we do not have that glitch here, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, an IL speedrun is an individual level. You just beat one dungeon. Like you start at the beginning and end at the end. That doesn't even save time.
Nope.
And in this room, Ek needs a small key for later. But then we're going to see yet another instance of gates not really doing their jobs very well. Turns out you can just climb them.
Here he's going to do a long jump attack to get into the little space between the falling platform and the wall there. And that skips having to make the platform fall down.
Ooh, there's a very cool jump in this next room. That apparently saves very little time, but we're just waiting out the cycle.
Yeah, and I think it's frame perfect too, pretty much, so it's not worth going for RTA.
Yeah, very not worth. Falling there would be disastrous. So now we've gotten to the mini-boss fight, Dangoro. Ek is going to... Well, I guess you're probably not going to do this setup, are you? But what he's going to do is... Yeah, lure Dangoro to the edge of the arena so that when he throws Dangoro off, he'll hang on the ledge. And that'll make 2 of the 3 cycles of the fight go by at the same time. Then he's going to quick spin Dangoro to get a very quick 3rd cycle. Insane.
Power of TAS.
There's a really cool strat in that room that's unfortunately TPHD only. where you can just use the quick transform function to make Dangoro fall through the magnetic platform. It's very funny. So shoutouts to that. And here's the dungeon item. Forgot about that one.
So just
This room is dangerous on half a heart.
Yeah. Oh, almost got you.
And here's the third key shard. Again, this is the only one we actually need to get to the boss door. Or
Zelda
get through
games
the boss.
has a tendency to be programmed in a way that the game only ever checks for like the last collectible in a series of collectibles, so the key in this sense. And it's the same for the mirror shards. You only need to finish Sin in the Sky to enter Palace of Twilight.
If you're wondering why he pushed that BMOS twice, well, twice each time on the way in that door and on the way out, it only stays in position if you push it all 4 times, and it basically evens out, you know, whether you want to do it twice, 2 times, or just 4 times at once. I guess it was faster to do it twice at once, or twice each time for the TAS.
Yes, now we're going to do an LJA back. Just skip having to go into the water at all. Cool jumps. And then because we have the claw shot here, we can skip this last magnet by just claw shotting like the net over here to get to the other side.
Oh, I was just starting to wonder why you have these equips. This next room is very cool. Oh man. That LJA is ridiculously precise. And the snipe on the door, that's so good.
It doesn't save enough time to warrant being worth RTA, because it's
No.
pretty hard to get, and you can easily get sniped by the Boldlins if you're too slow.
So Fyrus is just done kind of as you would expect, except Link lets go of the chain because, you know, why not?
Oh yeah.
You see, I unequipped Iron Boots
Oh.
the last frame possible before like pulling the chain to make him fall over.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
It
That's really
saves
cool.
having to unequip Iron Boots after the cutscene of him falling.
Nice snipe.
Yeah, wow. That's really cool.
So congratulations on finally getting your health back.
Yep.
And the sound annoyed me.
Great fight. Yeah, Fyrus, unlike I think every other boss in the game, only has one phase. Just pull him down 3 times, bully him a little bit, and fight's over. So there's not too much to do here. Significant amount of wait time. Yeah, wait a minute. So we didn't beat any dungeons within the first hour, but now we're an hour and a half in, we've done 3. Strange pacing.
This might actually go faster than 9 hours, now that I think about it.
We'll see.
I don't know, Palace of Twilight still exists.
Yeah.
Could get a really bad Zelda.
That's also a possibility.
We just have to wait and see.
Is he gonna get the heart container? Oh. He even panned the camera over to taunt us.
The anti-Valentine's Day run. Alright, 3 dungeons down in very quick succession. Surely it'll be a long time before we get to the next one, right? Nope, just gonna Uku back to Lakebed. Gotta get some
After
bombs
buying
first,
the
though.
bomb bag.
Yeah. Yeah, there are 3 bomb bags you can get in this game, and in any percent, we get a different one. We steal one from Iza, and then use it to get the Goron bomb bag. But we're actually going to get the 3rd one, this time, the one you actually pay for, which is much simpler to get, assuming you've beat Goron Mines, which any percent doesn't.
Finally, perfect menuing has happened there.
Yeah.
And the bomb bag is actually one of the reasons why we have German version. Because the bomb text is instant. The getting the bomb bag, the text is instant on the German version. Whereas in any other version of the game, the text is very slow.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that was for all bomb bags.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they all have like the same like message ID or whatever.
Uh-huh. So, we mentioned earlier we didn't have a way to fight Morpheal. We need a way to fight Morpheal, and the way is going to be water bombs, which we'll explain in just a minute. That is why Ek sold all of the bombs that he bought in the bomb bag in Barn's shop. Now doing the gate clip again. Before explaining that, this is the dungeon where we can skip the boss key. I mentioned before there was one exception, and the doors in this dungeon are no different from doors in any other dungeon. However, the door to the entrance to the boss fight doesn't lead directly to the boss fight. It leads to a small room with a hole in it, through which you can enter the boss fight. And that hole has no door, so we can just skip the boss key, assuming we can clip out of bounds. So let's see whether it can clip out of bounds. Yep, he can clip out of bounds. And now, as for the fight, and this is something that's done RTA as well, we can actually fight Morpheal without the Zora armor using water bombs, because we can take out water bombs while swimming by force and equipping the iron boots, and by releasing a water bomb while swimming with it, the air meter is replenished. Why that happens, we can only speculate, but that's how it works. And we have
It's
just
likely
enough
because the
iron-
game doesn't think you can drop water bombs while you don't have the iron boots underwater. So it thinks you're above. It thinks you're not in the water, so it just replenishes your air.
Yeah.
As you're not supposed to be able to swim with the water bomb, that is a glitch.
And so now Ek has a water bomb out and force unequipped his iron boots. He's going to be swimming up with it during the cutscene. You'll actually see him rising if you watch the cutscene. Well, certain scenes of it. There he is. And he just released it, and you see the air meter has gone away and is now full again. So to fight Morpheal, he's putting on the iron boots before claw-shotting through it, because as soon as he stabbed it 4 times per cycle, he can force unequip the iron boots, then put them back on, and claw-shot right back to Morpheal, skipping the whole animation of Morpheal blocking the claw. And he's just done it with only 1 bomb. Pretty hard to do RTA, though it is RTA viable. It just depends on the RNG that you get, but this is a TAS. And doing this is much faster than going to get the Zora armor, which would require the whole escort sequence.
I think this is also the longest boss death cutscene in the game.
Well, it depends on what you're counting. It's the longest between inputs. You have
Yeah.
something like 63 seconds or something between inputs. It's a great bathroom break. The whole sequence after beating Lizetta is the longest, including the text boxes.
Alright.
That's like a minute 50 or so.
It was only 6 minutes between beating the last dungeon and beating this one. We're 4 dungeons down, so with only 5 left, this should be just over a 2-hour run, right?
Yeah. No heart container. Okay, that was a pretty dense dungeon section. It was not pretty dense. But we have a little bit of a reprieve from that now. There's a scripted in-game event, Midna's Desperate Hour, where we need to take our dead Midna back to the Midna store to replace her with a new live one. And so we're going to run to Castletown to do that, and this will mostly just be movement.
Cool movement.
Cool movement. Movement plus.
This is the DLC.
DLC movement pack costing $20.
And 4 years. Yeah, so once we complete the Midna's Desperate Hour section, then we'll be able to do like B-charge attacks for the rest of the run. Which will come in handy in dungeons for some cool skips, which we'll see later.
Coming up on a very cool glitch called Louise Glitch. Louise is the cat that we're going to talk to in the upcoming cutscene. And if we enter the cutscene in just the right way, then we're going to be able to make the camera do a pretty odd thing that skips a little bit of an animation of it panning around, rather. You can see the camera is kind of funky here, and Wolflink will just teleport. And overall, this saved 1.7 seconds. People do that RTA, yeah, but at full dash speed, so it's a position thing, and at full dash speed, the B input is frame perfect. So, yeah, people do it, but it basically costs no time to go for. So some people go for it. Something that does cost a lot of time to go for and fail, though, is rope skip, which we're going to see here. This looks easy, to just jump to this rope to skip half the room, but it's surprisingly difficult because of the Goron walking around on the bottom. Sometimes it'll catch you and sometimes it won't, even if you don't fall. Nice little time save.
Someone in chat asked, how does the TAS not desync? So this is actually a video file of the entire TAS already played back without desyncing, so... it is simply like an actual video.
Yeah, for a showcase like this, obviously we don't want it to desync.
I did get one desync during the course of the entire TAS, which didn't end up even being such a big deal. So I have Dragonbane to thank for that, for making a good version of Dolphin.
Yeah, as the Twilight Princess and Wind Waker specifically have had problems with significant TAS desyncing on the regular builds of Dolphin over the years. I think it's probably fine now, but in the late 2010s, Dragonbane, a great community member, has contributed a lot for Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. Made a special version of Dolphin that allowed us to TAS those games without having, a desync every 5 seconds of in-game time. So we're gonna see some cool movement climbing up the tower now. Ekke's gonna be using the Bulblins that are up here to do some LJs on the ropes so that he doesn't have to go across some of them near the end. Also, if you're fast enough running as Wolflink across the rooftops here, you can actually get onto the bridge at the end of cycle early. But because X going so fast, it's just going to kind of look like the normal cycle, because you can use, you know, things like brake sliding and dash canceling to help get across fast. But that cycle is very hard to make RTA.
Brake slides are really powerful in this Desperate Hour, because in that whole sewers sequence, Wolflink's speed is really nerfed. But the brake slides preserve it really well. In addition to what Jim mentioned earlier about being able to do Midna charge attacks in the overworld, or just anywhere, now that we've done Midna's Desperate Hour, we can also get to Arbiter's Grounds, which we couldn't have gotten to before. So we're going to head over there. Pretty important dungeon. And yeah, for anyone keeping track, we have now completed 4 dungeons, which are the first 3, though not in intended order. And Snowpeak Ruins, which in a casual playthrough would come immediately after Arbiter's Grounds.
Now we get the amazing ladder climbing. Very dynamic gameplay.
They thankfully sped up the climbing in the HD version, so is it twice as fast?
I think it is twice as fast, yeah. Fortunately, it's been 6 minutes since we beat the last dungeon, and we haven't beaten another dungeon.
Oh no. You mean Aru doesn't count as a dungeon?
Not last I checked, no. I don't believe... Unless you count Oru's memo as a save prompt, I guess, but...
Oh, X is going to do a really cool jump here. That one is usually not done RTA. We see a variant of it.
So, as far as we know, this is the only way you can get to the desert in the game. It would be significantly faster for any percent if there was another way of being able to get to the desert early.
Or just to go straight to Arbiter's Grounds without dealing with the desert.
True. One of the advantages that the TAS has is that the game doesn't lag here at all when going through the desert. On actual console, if the strategy is to pull the camera back and above Wolflink so it doesn't have to like render things out in the distance as much to save on lag, but because this is done on emulator and is playback, there's no lag.
Nice.
Yeah, so normally during this section, you're supposed to climb onto one of the boards as Human Link and use it to ram through the fencing that's blocking off the Bulblin camp. But we're actually not going to do that because we can just sort of clip through the fencing as Wolflink. This first clip here through the tower on the right side is actually very precise, and you don't see it in an RTA run. Normally runners just knock it down with the ball and chain. But the second one that he's going to do over here is actually pretty viable RTA, and so he's
Then a nice pop-up. And if you're familiar with any percent, then you've probably seen in the Bulblin camp runners get map glitch using map warping, and then enter the King Bulblin fight from out of bounds. But Ekke doesn't have map warping. We didn't get that earlier, and we don't have a cutscene here to work with to use UMD to get map glitch. So
you can still get map glitch with UMD, but it's just too slow. So it's faster.
Oh really?
To
I didn't
do
know
this.
that.
Yeah,
What
so
cutscene
instead they're going to do a long jump attack with a bomb boost up here to get up to the top of the tent and then trigger the King Bulblin fight.
Like the hops into the trigger.
And then King Baldwin just gets absolutely decimated with the power of the quickspin.
Yep. And then he does a little dance.
Yes,
Like, which cutscene do you use for UMD?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, you don't need a cutscene. You can start the initial sequence, and then you like do a few B attacks, and then talk to Midna again.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
And while transforming to human, the map can come up, and you can do map glitch.
Okay.
So it's not much slower, but it's slow enough to not do it.
Hmm. And then you might be wondering why Ekke just didn't do some parkour to get to the entrance to Arbiter's Grounds without riding the boar. You can do that, but the loading zone isn't actually there, so you don't get anywhere. You have to ride the boar through those in order to get to Arbiter's Grounds.
Alright, now it's time for Arbiter's Grounds. So,
And surely we're
spooky
gonna
dungeon.
finish this dungeon in one go, right?
oh, sure, yes. So, Arbiter's Grounds is the one place where brake sliding as Human Link is actually very useful.
Not right now.
But not right now.
That LJ is RTA viable. But, oh yeah, so he did a frame perfect chain drop there to run away before the cutscene started. The LJ is RTA viable, but it's just so risky if you fall into the quicksand, then you void out. And it doesn't save that much time.
No.
Now it is time for us to watch the infamous gate drop down and block us from access to the second part of the dungeon.
In the next room, you're gonna see post-skip, but it's gonna be done in a method in a way that I think people are not very familiar with.
Yeah, if you are here, you need to watch the next room. It is amazing. Generally, the purpose of this is to skip killing the first Poe. What you're supposed to do in the dungeon in casual playthrough is kill the first Poe that's right in front of you, get the Poe sent, and that allows you to dig to get to the next Poe. But the game doesn't actually check whether you have the first Poe soul at the end, so you can skip that as long as you can get another Poe soul first to get the sent. So check this out. First we need a friend. Next, going to drop a bomb and use that friend to start an ending blow that the bomb then boosts him from. From here, he will push this block 4 times because we're going to need to come back here later, and if he doesn't do it 4 times, then it won't actually work. It won't stay in place. Then he uses another friend to get a super jump up to here, and then does a very precise LJA over to this door, which is nuts.
Will not see
And-
that RTA.
No. And now we're at Poe 4. So RTA, what you would normally see is a much simpler pop-up over to the other side of the room and then an LJA. And then you have to go through 2 more rooms to get to this one. And it's obviously slower for TAS. Oh, this is really cool too. That's... Eck, I forget exactly how that works. How did that one work?
I don't really know. There's like 1 or 2 frames where you can attack him while he's flying away from you. It was also found completely on accident. But it doesn't seem to always work, but it worked in that instance, so I just took it.
You like the accidental time saves?
Yeah, there's actually been quite a few over the course of the whole run.
And so now Eck has sniffed that Poe, and that means that the first Poe is completely useless for us. And go over and dig at the spot to get to the second Poe.
Yeah, the game will, the game only checks for the second, third, and fourth pose to see if it should open the gate, because it just assumes you have to get the first one and there's no way to skip it.
And at this point, It is pretty widely known among TP speedrunning runners and viewers that you in fact can skip all of the pose. It just takes a while.
With a while, it's more like... Actually, I don't know. Is it 9 hours?
Yeah, roughly. I like targeting the rehit there, that's nice. If you watch a Twilight Princess low percent run, they do an item pickup slide through that gate, and it takes about 9 hours. So it's only really relevant to low percent.
Here we can make the bubble,
Oh yeah.
cancel the animation so we can run away.
Oh, nice camera.
Yeah, and then during this cutscene, there's actually some RNG manipulation happening, so the bubbles push Wolflink even closer to the door.
He's right there. Oh my god.
Exit instantly.
And then he can also have this pushing animation canceled by the rat. You notice he did that with the bubble on the way in, so that he can get out this door before it fully opens. And fun fact, if you were doing this dungeon casually, then that would soft lock you, because the upper room hasn't fully turned and you're just kind of stuck. Just because you've left that room so early. But because of the way we're doing it, it doesn't actually matter.
Here's the reason why we pushed the block earlier. Otherwise, we'd have to do Po1 skip twice.
Yeah. That would add up to Po2 skip.
Po1, 2 skip.
That would be Po12 skip.
So the small key was necessary to open up that door, which you can't see the chain from like the side we opened it from, but it is a door that's locked by a small key, but we still need a small key to open it even from the wrong side.
Having half a heart in this room is nerve-wracking. Nice Ruby text skip. Oh man. Yeah, so Wolflink just through the entire game takes double damage as compared to Human Link. So having half a heart here means if you get hit by anything, you're dead. Oh, there's also one frame in between the text box of collecting the Poe Soul and the cutscene starting, which is how Ekke dashed away after the text box.
Collected the second, third, and fourth pose, and the gate will now open up. We can get to see some more cool stuff.
Yep. But not as much as you might think. Getting the boss key early in this dungeon is really easy. There are a few methods of doing it. Oh man, the quick climb too. Basically, you just B-attack across the sand as wolf.
This room has some cool parkour in it, which is actually done by runners now. Where you can kind of just jump across the spinner railings here.
It's not done quite this smoothly, but it is done. And he's doing brake slides in the sand to prevent him from just getting stuck. Nice. Oh, and the early bomb pull. Oh, that's so smooth.
And here you're gonna see I forgot the dungeon layout, so I went to the wrong room.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, embarrassing.
Is this a desync?
Yeah, and while I'm here, I might as well get the Uku. Might be useful for something later.
Yeah, this is another deviation from the RTA route. And I'll let Ekke explain that when it comes time, because I don't fully understand it. Or don't remember the details, rather.
I might not either. Hopefully I do.
Oh, that's right. We're going to fight Death Sword using Uku. Going to jump off of a ledge and fly with Uku to the spinner.
Would be pretty cool if you could use Uku that way.
Yeah. Generally speaking, it's faster to skip bosses or mini-bosses when possible, just because they have long cutscenes associated with them. And for Death's Sword, what we can do is manipulate Death's Sword to be in a specific position near the gap over the door to the spinner chest, and then use a super jump on it, just like we did with early Master Sword, to get right over the door.
Yeah, so you're not going to see it here, but Uku is actually going to come out and give Wolflink this extra height that he needs to get over right there.
Yeah. Yeah, normally, it's like in an RTA run, it's much easier to see what's going on there. Backflip.
Yeah, that chest
Alright,
is
so
like
he's
a
got
little
the-
bit in the ground.
He's got the dungeon item, and I was save warping to get back to the beginning because it's slower to leave the room. Well, you'd have to kill Death's Sword to leave the room without save warping. But he's also just going to leave the dungeon. So why is that? Why are we leaving this dungeon?
Yeah, we're gonna Uku out because obviously we need to come back later. And having Uku is gonna be very useful for the thing happening later on. And there's not a reason as well that I'm going to explain when the time comes.
Oh, the...
Right.
Go ahead, guys.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
so we
well-
just warped to Kakariko Village, because our next dungeon is going to be City in the Sky.
Yeah, this is another deviation from the RTA route, which would actually just beat the rest of the dungeons in casual order, or rather intended order. Arbiter's Grounds, Temple of Time, City in the Sky, Palace, then Hyrule Castle.
And coming up is probably one of the hardest tricks to do RTA, because there are so many frame perfect inputs in a row. It's not gonna
Yeah.
look like anything special, but if you know what's going on, it's kind of insane. So we're doing the universal map delay right here for 3 seconds straight. Until here, pretty much. Now the map comes up and we can warp.
And
Yeah,
that's-
it looks like nothing, but that's impossible for a human to do.
And that's why we can skip having to get map warping at the gorge. At least in this route.
Oh, and Ek got the silver rupee in Kakariko earlier. We didn't even mention that because we were talking about that, but he got that without going up there, just with cunning use of the boomerang, and now he has 300 rupees to pay fire with.
And if you wonder why that silver rupee isn't collected in the N% route, is because the silver rupee isn't there unless you fight Kimboblin 1.
Best music. Yes,
And for
so-
those familiar with Jim's TAS, I think you know the trick is coming up.
Yep.
But first, we have a very lovely sounding cutscene that we get to watch. As we all know, everybody loves the following noise we're about to hear.
Doesn't that say eek in English?
It does, yeah. It was translated for German.
Germans don't understand eek, maybe.
Yeah, so City in the Sky is going to feature very heavy use of long jump attacks. And it's also, there's going to be a trick coming up here in this next room, which it's not going to look like anything has happened, but the door into, like, the main center room of the dungeon, Ekke's going to be opening it up from essentially as far away from the door as possible. And this is going to skip activating a trigger that turns on the fan, which normally blocks you from getting the boss key early. But because now the fan is not active, we can simply use the claw shot to get up to where the boss key is and get the boss key early, which saves about 1 minute and 20 seconds, I believe.
And in an RTA run, you wouldn't see this now. This would be in the second half of the dungeon. Nice two-hand grab. The reason that it's rerouted for the TAS is because of the trick coming up a little bit later, small key skip. We can completely skip one wing of the dungeon. So it just makes more sense to do this now. Oh, no lag on that door. That's so nice.
And right now we're gonna want to jump down without taking any damage.
Oh yeah, this was cool.
Yeah, I remember the way that I got down there without taking damage was like really goofy, but
You
the
grabbed
spinner...
the vines a bunch, right?
Yeah, I grabbed a bunch of vines. The spinner is much better.
And here is also some more RNG manipulation, where the Baba doesn't actually hit you.
Oh, that's so stupid.
And a blue rupee to finish it all off.
Yep. Oh.
Which we won't need.
Oh, and 2 rolls from the spinner. That's nice. So, Ekke is now approaching a locked door, but he doesn't have a key. What's he gonna do? We've got some invisible walls to contend with to get down to this door. But he still wants to be up on the 2nd floor once he gets inside. And do that. You know what? I'll leave this to you guys.
Jim, maybe you can explain this since you're the one who found it.
Yeah, so this is an instance of a trick known as claw shot actor displacement, where essentially instead of Link being taken to something he's claw shotting, if you fall during a specific part of the claw shot animation, the object will instead come to you. And then if we interrupt the claw shot through various means, such as falling on the ground or being bombed right here, we can then keep the objects in that specific spot where they are, and we can use this to manipulate the 3D geometry of the room to allow us to get up here to the 2nd level.
Insane.
That is, aside from the universal map relay for the cannon, the most precise trick in the entire run.
Do you still have a bounty for that, RTA?
Yep, if someone does that in real time, they get $100. It has not been done RTA yet.
People have tried.
Also, the Dynalphos there just kind of get scared by the claw shot, so they just kind of fall off the ledge. What actually happens is, like, they try to shield the claw shot as if it's going to get them, but in doing that, they take a step back and just kind of fall down.
Interestingly, you can also do it with the boomerang and kind of with the spinner too, but it's just far less convenient than using the claw shot. Oh man, that timing is so good.
So coming up here, there's going to be a bit of a skip where you can just jump off of this ledge right here and then let go of the Uku to grab onto this ledge and make it through without having to activate the fan right in front of that ledge.
It's also going to skip grabbing the Uku right here and just jump down. Whee! Oh, that last second jump attack is so good. That's why I needed health before.
Yeah.
And then there's also a frame-perfect drop into the Aralphos fight here. You can just fall during the cutscene. It's beautiful. And yet again, we're going to be pacifist. Ekke is going to skip fighting the Aralphos. He's just going to run into a specific spot where you can claw shot up to the target that's behind the gate. Whoops. And no more mini-boss.
He waited all this time to challenge Link, and Link is just like, nope, see ya.
And we only have one bomb here, so we're gonna have to refill the bomb bag. And conveniently, there's a chest right next to us here that we can open, which will fill our bomb bag to max.
Yeah, did the Arbiter's Grounds bomb chest not have enough?
Yeah, I need too many bombs for that being worth getting.
And so right here,
wait.
He's gonna do Iron Boots side hops to go through the wind. Because rolling wouldn't have him going anywhere.
I remember when you were posting that in the Discord server, asking if anyone had a faster way, and that's hilarious that I made it in.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the wind cycle is like determined, and once you just enter the dungeon for the first time. So I couldn't like change the wind RNG after getting the double claw shot. I was stuck with the one I had.
Yeah, so we got the double claw shots, we got the boss key. Normally you're supposed to trigger, or like move, or make a fan begin spinning out here to make these platforms, or I guess these, not platforms, these walls spin. But with some precise claw shotting and a really cool double LJA right here, I get to the end without having to do that.
And this room, I just think it speaks for itself.
Yeah, this room's really cool in a TAS. The swag. Well, I guess that's not swag, because you're getting to the corner. That claw shot is very precise.
Ah, that took a long time getting.
And then this one is also extremely precise.
Same with the bomb barrel strat isn't actually faster if you do it this way.
Perfect Rob shot directly to the top.
And now we wait.
Hopefully, Ekke does not soft lock here.
No.
That'd be very good.
Yeah, if you claw shot his tail here on like 2 first possible frames, the game just soft locks.
And then to make the second cycle of this first phase really quick, Ekke is just gonna get up onto this column before Argrat gets to fly away and get right back on. Oh, I didn't realize you could shoot that early. That's cool.
I think you can get cool game there too. I think I did that.
Oh, no.
That's pretty funny, yeah.
Cool game is just what we call the soft lock.
Incidentally, this is another good bathroom break. This cutscene is a little over a minute long too, but if you get back late, then you're in a boss fight.
Yeah, I feel like most Twilight Princess runners have probably cool gamed here at least once.
Oh, you've got to
just
just for the novelty of it. So now, just as any of the rest of us would do, Link is going to jump off this cliff to escape the big flamey dragon.
Unfortunately, this is a video game, so that doesn't work. But it does reset Ardrock's position. So now we can get Argarok to attack us faster as we go up here. And then, so Ekke did a bit of a manipulation strategy right there to get Argarok to stop shooting fire really quickly so that he could just claw shot around and do the stabbing at the end of the cycle.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so because Ekke was able to claw shot up so fast, he was actually was able to, I believe, match Argarok's position in time for Argarok to begin shooting as he was still claw shotting up the pillars on the side.
And then this third cycle is going to be a little bit different just because Argarok's flame pattern is different. It's going to shoot flame and then eventually turn around and start shooting flame the other direction, which is supposed to trip you up as a casual player, but Ekke knows what he's doing. So once he gets to a certain point, he's going to sink below the flame with the iron boots. And then once Argarok turns around and the camera shifts a little bit, he's just going to claw shot on Argarok's back and cancel that flame in the opposite order.
Yeah, so that is City in the Sky. Yeah, unfortunately there's not really any way to make this fight any faster. Because, you know, you have to wait a lot at the first phase, and then there's a giant cutscene in the middle, and you still have to do a lot of waiting in the second phase. So. Really
There's a strat you can...
Really cool in a casual playthrough, though.
Yeah. And there's a strat you can do in 100%, or I guess any category where you have Rare Chew Jelly or Fairy Tears, where you can 2-cycle the second phase. And it's very fun to do. It saves like 20 seconds or so, but obviously in all dungeons it doesn't make sense to go out of our way for more than 20 seconds to get a bottle with one of those things in it in order to save those 20 seconds.
So if I'm correct, it has now been 42 minutes since we beat our last dungeon. I feel like that's not looking so good on the time here.
Hope we get an underestimate. No, you can get Great Fairy Tears from Giovanni, and you can get Rare Chew Jelly in some grottos near Lake Hylia Bridge and Cave of Ordeals. All of which are slow.
And right here we equip Iron Boots before launching to the cannon, so we can land on the bridge and warp away faster. And this is a little bit of an issue, because we are at such low health, and this next trick requires us to take quite a bit of damage. But I managed to get around it in a fast way. So it's time to enter Temple of Time.
So to get over there quickly, Ekke is just going to do a bomb boost onto this collision, slightly out of bounds. LJ over here, and then LJ over... Oh, right, so to save health.
Yeah, to save health, I jumped down here as a wolf rather than doing an LGA as human, which would take 1 horse of damage and would kill me.
Oh, and you have to transform anyway. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So in an RTA run, you would be human here, and you would have to go through... You know, this is the second Sacred Grove sequence, so you'd have to go through and chase Skull Kid, hit him 3 times, and then do another fight with the bow. But Ekke is going to do this a little bit differently.
Also, fun fact, skipping that cutscene there actually gave us boss flag again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is cool for this route. So Ekke did just land the first blow on Skull Kid to open up some pathways in Lost Woods, or in Grove, Lost Woods, whatever. And there's now a place that he can go where he can do a super jump off of a puppet to get on some out-of-bounds collision and get to an area he is not supposed to be able to get to right now. No one has done this RTA yet, this method of it. And so he has just skipped the fight and the rest of the chase sequence and saved a couple of minutes. This is Grove 2 skip, and it is a very important skip. It saves time here, though, again, no one can do that RTA yet for all dungeons. It is done in 100% now, but it's done with a different method that's much more RTA viable. It is still very precise, but it doesn't require puppet RNG, really. And it's even more important for Hundo because in 100% there's, well, in any playthrough, there's a Poe at the Master Sword pedestal, but finishing the fight at the end of the Sacred Grove chase sets time of day to day, and the Poe isn't there during the day. So skipping that, skipping the second bit of Grove allows you to keep it nighttime so that you can get the Poe while you're here instead of warping back later.
We didn't enter this area the normal way. Normally you would enter from other direction and push down a block so we can climb back up here, but we haven't done that. So we have to do a bomb boost to get up.
And open the door from the back.
Yeah, and so the reason that he also equipped the iron boots there was to do a technique known as moon boots, where if you begin doing a jump attack or some sort of attack that elevates you while you have the iron boots on, if you pause and force unequip the iron boots, you actually get a bigger boost upwards than the attack would normally give you. And so that additional height was used in conjunction with the bomb boost to get up onto the staircase there without having to go around, which wouldn't be possible anyway because we didn't go to the area normally and push down the block.
Oh, this is a really cool strat that you won't see RTA.
With a very precise position and a very precise boomerang throw, you can make the pot land on the switch without breaking, which I also found on complete accident. And it saves like 10 seconds.
This dungeon is really cool in this TAS. Well, just in general, but... he's also about to do an LJA up the next flight of stairs to skip getting Uku, who is just standing in the way. The fun fact about this route is that it wouldn't work if we couldn't skip that Uku, because it would overwrite the Arbiter's Grounds Uku.
So there's two reasons why we split up Arbiters. One is we get boss flag from skipping the cutscene in Grove 2, which can be used on Stallard later, which skips the whole cutscene of Stallard being revived by Sant. And also, after having completed the Temple of Time, we can use Uku to get back to Arbiters, which skips rolling out from Temple of Time and returning to the present.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
So here we're going to take an unconventional route up here that skips having to use the spinner.
And skips moving some statues.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is exactly as impressive as it looked. Nice frame, perfect drop.
Low walk to the chest forming. So the trying to shoot crystal switches with the bow in this game is like, it's weirdly difficult. Because the hitbox for the crystal switch is like not where you think it is when you're aiming.
You also don't have a crosshair, which makes it even harder.
Yeah. Well, and then there's also some collision, like, in front of it from the little ledge. Somehow he made it through. Oh, this room's very cool. He's gonna skip using the scales by doing a jump attack onto this railing.
The jump attack is actually very precise.
Yeah. There are other ways to do it too, but when you have to do it in that part of the room instead of a little later on, it's also kind of annoying because of the spiders. Sometimes there are spiders there and they just get in the way, you target them. Okay, this room coming up is one of my favorites in the entire TAS. I suppose we have to watch the cutscene first.
The two armors landing on top of each other like they do is really important for this.
That Helmosaur shell just flew all the way over to that. Boing. Incredible.
Yeah, Helmosaur helmet physics can get kind of weird, depending on what's happening with them.
Oh, nice iframes. That was really cool.
We take damage from the Lysalphos so that the spike rolly thingy doesn't knock us over.
Oh, and those spiders don't cause any, what they called? Oh man, that climb!
It's
That
no
was so cool.
effect.
Yeah, the sun effect. Man, I forgot about that climb. That was so cool.
And at 100% you can actually skip this boss fight, but it requires a hidden skill, which is the second to last one you get. So obviously it's slow to get.
Using bombs is really cool though.
Defeating a Dark Nut with no sword.
Oh yeah.
Didn't even think of that.
Yeah, so now we get access to the Dominion Rod here. Normally at this point you, of course, have to bring down the giant statue that's currently above us to the bottom of the dungeon. But thankfully, we do not have to do that. Instead, we're going to be doing an infamous trick known as Door of Time Skip, or Dot Skip. We just kind of call the door at the bottom of the Temple of Time here the Door of Time. Even though I don't think the game ever refers to it as that, but kind of looks like the one from Ocarina of Time. And we're going to do this by using this statue to help push us through the door. And that just pretty much skips the entire second half of the dungeon.
That is a very precise skip that you won't see done that fast ever by a human. Nice. Oh yeah, so I said earlier the typical template for dungeons is getting the dungeon item, then getting the boss key. And that's true for this dungeon too, but there are just so many things that we can do without having the dungeon item. We don't really use the Dominion Rod for anything except dot skip and boss fight for this dungeon. So we got it on the way up instead.
Here we hit Ormagoma so fast, so the music here just keeps on going.
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of RNG involved with the Armagoma fight. For each cycle, Armagoma is going to at least crawl around over 3 light sources, and then every single time that she goes over a new one, there's a 50% chance that she goes to the next one, or that she opens up her eye to become vulnerable. So, with really bad RNG, she can walk around for like 30 seconds or something with you being unable to hit her. But of course, because this is a TAS, we just get the perfect RNG of 3 cycles each time. Or 3 walk-arounds of the light source each time.
How do you know which one it's going to go to?
Pure luck.
And now the spider is dead. Huh?
Still alive?
This is crazy. How are you ever going to manage to catch that thing?
So it's normally faster to use a bomb barrel and you can just one-shot the eye there, but I have a few amount of bombs, so it's gonna be faster to use that bomb somewhere else.
I do like that the game really wants you to have your sword out after having beat the eyeball, so it just pulls it out anyway.
Yeah. Link just really wants to show off his shielding animation.
Oh yeah, bombs don't drop in this game. You have to get them from chests or buy them. Which is why our routes have limited bombs.
So here we're just gonna Uku back instead of rolling out, as I said earlier.
Yeah, that is really nice.
Yes, now we just have to roll back through the beginning of Arbiter's Grounds to get to the boss door, essentially.
Thankfully, the pose stay collected. Don't need to get all of them again to open the door.
And here I don't know if it's it's frame perfect.
Oh, I was just about to ask. I think it's either frame perfect or 2 frames.
Yeah, it's really precise.
It's much more difficult than the ones in City in the Sky, that's for sure.
And then here we're going to do a tiny LGA to save like half a second or something. To skip having to do another half circle around the room on the spinner.
Probably saves even less for this category since I have to equip the Gale, but it's still just slightly faster.
Hmm. As Zach mentioned earlier, starting the Grove 2 sequence gave him boss flags, just like we used to start the Deku Toad fight from the wrong door earlier. And then we did do a mini-boss fight and a boss fight in Temple of Time, but for some reason, Temple of Time doesn't clear boss flags. It just doesn't. And in a casual playthrough, that doesn't actually make a difference. But for this route, it does, and that's why the Stallard fight has already started as he entered the room.
Except we're not going to fight Stallard.
Yeah, he just missed.
Gonna do another instant of Claw Shot active displacement to pull the Stout Trooper over here, and then use the Stout Trooper to clip through 2 walls, the second time using a bomb boost. And using that, we can just kinda skip the fight, because the loading zone always exists here.
Note that there is a save prompt here. And this is why I mentioned this earlier. Stout Skip, for a long time, was considered to be TAS only. It is an extremely precise trick, way more difficult than it just looks. But recently, people decided to make a setup for it, and now people are doing it in RTA runs. And so we had to decide whether that was allowed for all dungeons, because we're just totally skipping Stallard. We decided that yes, it is, and our definition of finishing the dungeon is reaching the save prompt.
It's the third reason why splitting arbiters is faster, and it's right here. We have already completed Sit in the Sky, which is the trigger for putting the cutscene here, where you can enter Palace of Twilight. And the cutscene trigger is already there while fighting the Shadow Beasts. So if we kill the Shadow Beast and then roll into the cutscene trigger, it will interrupt the cutscene of the portal being created and save a few seconds.
And here we are in Palace of Twilight.
It's so strange to go straight from Arbiters to Palace.
Also, I believe that was less than 3 minutes from beating Temple of Time to beating Arbiter's Grounds. Which,
Yeah.
if my math works out, then this run should be done in like 7 minutes.
Pretty good.
Flawless math.
But yeah, unfortunately, we will not be done in 7 minutes.
Spoilers?
In Palace of Twilight, there's not really a whole lot you can do to speed up most of the dungeon. Because pretty much every single room is just kill a bunch of Zant heads to get a small key, or kill Phantom Zant to get the Saul that we have to bring back.
It can be optimized, even if we can't skip a lot. So, for example, in that first room, he did a charge attack on the Zant head and got a double hit, rather than doing some other combination. It can't work on this Zant head, but he can make quick work of it and then get all the way over to this chest. So that when it spawns, you can just press A straight out of the cutscene to open it. Wow, that's fast.
And yeah, that platform is low enough that you can just jump attack onto it from on top of the chest. No need to use the claw shot.
And then Phantom Zant is supposed to take, well, it's supposed to take a lot of cycles. The Ekke is going to do it in one. There are some frame-perfect sword combos that he can do to prevent Phantom Zant from moving away. Teleporting across the room.
Yeah, each
So
of those
that-
combos has 2 frame-perfect inputs.
Yeah, it didn't look like much, but that's very, very difficult.
Yeah, for some
Nice
reason the
fog.
mist the hitbox of the mist is really weird. Here we can utilize L sliding again to get closer to the door while we're claw-shotting the soul.
Hopefully the hand doesn't get you.
Yeah, the hands become a lot less scary when you know exactly what to do in every room. They're definitely scary in a casual playthrough.
Yeah, I remember being terrified by them as a kid.
There's a special use of an L slide here that skips some enemies spawning. There's supposed to be some of those little squeebles over in this area he's L sliding too, but they just don't spawn most of the time if you do an L slide there. Sometimes they do, and I have no idea why.
And here we can actually brake slide to get up slightly faster than just walking.
Very nice. Very nice.
Also, I should mention that Jim will upload this pod to his YouTube channel, this one with commentary, and I will have the one without commentary on my channel.
Oh. Oh, nice. You got the LJA before you got that. That's fine.
Yeah, so in case you're worried about missing anything, don't worry. This will all be up on YouTube within like 24 hours after the stream finishing. So now in this room, we want to do a small LJ here to cause the Zant head to appear earlier, which gives us a better cycle on these platforms here.
Oh, interesting. It was faster to roll twice there. I've always wondered.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Well, I was just noting that you rolled twice to that door from the chest instead of running a little bit and rolling. Or like DF walking.
Are you sure I did DF walk there?
I didn't notice. There isn't really room.
Oh, yeah, actually, I probably didn't, because it's faster to do 2 rolls rather than DF walk and do 1 roll.
Yeah. Okay. Noted. Ha! Yeah, there's some cool aim in this room that obviously Ekke is gonna nail.
Spidey shot.
Then most RTA runs, you'll see an LJA here to the door, which is just a little easier than this claw shot. The claw shot is, even though it's closer to the intended method, is actually faster. If done very fast. And this Phantom Zant fight is exactly the same as the first one.
Yeah.
Well, technically not true. The Phantom Zant spawn is slightly closer to Link.
I'm gonna have to take out the sword and roll twice, so it doesn't really matter where in the room he spawns.
Yeah, that's true. It feels like it makes a difference RTA. But yeah, you're right. Once again, wonderful fog. Wait, did you get the soul?
Yeah.
Oh, it was just really close. Yeah, okay. Cool. Oh, man. Oh, this is a really tough room. Ekke has to run straight before throwing the soul.
Yeah.
See if he can do it. Oh, actually, he didn't. I didn't think about that. Oh, man. Oh, man.
I'm just
That's
living
so
on the edge.
And 2 hops here, hopefully. Oof.
Push the soul all the way to the edge of the platform.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
It's just slightly faster to LGA back, rather than going all the way to the platform.
Yeah, all these optimizations are really cool. Fast Palace.
And the exact same thing can be applied here as well.
This one's really cool.
Yeah. And now we got the light sword.
Lord has been infused with the power of butter.
Yum.
Some more brake sliding.
You just lose so much speed rolling up that long ramp, so it's faster to do brake slide. By
Is the
just like
second
1
ramp-
or 2 frames.
Is the second ramp a lesser slope?
No, it's the exact same, but it's way shorter.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
shorter.
okay. Oh, this room's really cool. This room actually does feature a skip. So in this room, you're expected to pick up the 2 souls on the opposite end of the room and throw them into some sockets to raise the staircase. Instead, you can manipulate a piece using the boomerang to get a super jump up to this platform.
And now that we did that cool trick, it's time to ride a platform.
Yeah, there is still a lot of platform riding.
That super jump saves like 4 seconds. It might look like more, but it's not.
I'm surprised you got it before. I timed it as 2 when Zach and I came up with it.
I guess I'm just so fast.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, I guess you did do the keys manipulation differently.
Yeah.
That was some nice, like, line dancing.
It
No,
wasn't in Jim's task because it hadn't been found.
Yeah, that super jump hadn't been found when my task was being finished. Coming up here is going to be a precise claw shot with no vision. Wow. So we can come up here to get the big key.
Wow, what a big key.
And the jump attack there was to stop the stun animation that would normally happen. Fell on the ground there.
Unfortunately, we can't skip killing these because of an LGA we're doing right after this. Even just leaving one alive will make it not possible. It's not this first LGA, but the one that comes after.
Like that you set that up like a jump strike LJ.
Yeah.
Yes, normally in RTA runs, you void out to respawn at the beginning of the room here, but with that really precise LJA right there, you can get back to this side without having to do that.
This room is going to be a bit different from the way RTA runners do it too, because there is a way that is extremely precise to manipulate it so that you don't need to wait for the second Xant head in the room. You'll see Ekke just does it a little differently.
I gotta wait for the Shadow Beast to fall here.
Might as well get some hearts when we're waiting.
Wow, what a crazy LJ this is going to be.
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
So the way this room works is once you kill the first Xant head, the second one will spawn. But if you delay killing the first one by a few seconds, the second one will spawn in much later, and you can still get the early platform cycle. But you'll have just enough time so you can kill him before he teleports away, saving a few seconds.
Yeah, believe it or not, all of that waiting did add up to some time save. Oh man, the corner jump. That jump is so silly.
There's a lot of time to mess around here, as it takes a little bit for each set of shadow beasts to just fall in. Now it is time for Zant. Zant's pretty cool in the TAS. A lot of these fights with Zant are supposed to be 2 cycles, but with some cool, precise strats, we can make some of them 1 cycles instead. Excuse me, not Zant. Xanto.
Yeah. He's usurpating all over the place.
So for this first section of the fight, there's a frame perfect trick to 1-cycle him, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to the Phantom Zant fights. It's executed differently, but it's similar in that Zant tries to warp away, but there's a frame where you can attack him to stop the warp. And then very similar thing on this phase as well, but it's a 2-frame window instead.
So once again, the water bombs will be put to use here because we don't have Zora armor, so we'll need to use one of them to refill our air meter between these 2 cycles.
Nice nose.
Also, one thing that we haven't mentioned yet, but it's pretty important here in the Zant phase underwater, where our sword swings are a lot slower, is that the direction you hold on the control stick actually changes the way that Link will slash his sword, and some of those animations are shorter or faster depending on which sword direction you hold. Like he specifically, I believe, during when he's hitting Zant underwater, wants to hold right, left, up, and then down to get the optimal sword slash, or like the optimal sword slash speed.
Oh, that was cool. I forgot about that.
Yeah, there's 1 frame where you can force unequip the iron boots before you hit him. Or actually right as you hit him.
Yeah, the rest of the phases, unfortunately, we can't skip any cycles on.
For N%, this is the sole reason why we get ball and chain. Because you cannot hit his foot without the ball and chain.
That's very cinematic.
And you actually only need to hit him with the final slash of the combo and do that twice to go to the next section.
Yeah, Zant's damage is pretty weird, like a lot of bosses and mini-bosses in this game. It counts different kinds of attacks very differently. It doesn't just have a set kind of number of health points. Or rather, he does, but you skip some of the health points and get to different checkpoints by using certain techniques.
And that is it for Zant. Yeah, so at the end of the last phase there, Ekke did a quick spin on Zant to like force him into the wall. But if you try to do that, Zant will simply teleport back to the middle and try to attack you again. But that's actually faster than having to wait for him to stop spinning before he's vulnerable, so it's a little bit of a nice TAS optimization to save like a second or so.
So we've got one dungeon left. Tyrol Castle.
And Link doesn't like receiving mail, so he's going to do a long jump attack past the postman trigger here.
We also don't want to scare the people inside Castletown, you know.
Yeah.
We'd get transformed anyway. Very good.
This is, I think, the longest unskippable cutscene in the run, is it not?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Where there
sure
are
it
name
is.
puts. It's almost 2 minutes long, I think.
Yeah, it's a long one. Where Midna gets to show off her cool hat.
Yeah, so current time is about 2 hours and 52 minutes. Do any of you guys in chat think the run will be under 3 hours? I guess also the any percent world record just finished.
Oh, yeah.
Which Beast also has.
For now.
Yeah. There's no contender. Well, there is. But not yet.
80% will be sub 250 soon, and that'll be really cool. You're gonna wait around in the final boss fight so that this doesn't beat my All Dungeons PB, right? That'd be really embarrassing if you beat it.
Yeah, sure.
Doesn't make me very confident.
X just on another level beast, I think you have to accept that.
I think you're right.
Ek is so good, he doesn't even have to fight King Bulblin here in Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, this Hyrule Castle routing is going to be a little bit different from the RTA route. And going to the right side here saves a very small amount of time. You said it was just a few seconds?
Yeah, it's about 4 seconds. But you can skip the barrier the same way as on the left side. And everything from here is different.
So the whole goal here is to get a small key, and there are 2 small keys we can get out here. One is in the graveyard, one is from King Bulblin. The King Bulblin fight is what RTA runners do. But it is possible to ride this boar for a while, and then do a really cool trick to get the other small key a little faster.
This probably looks very slow, but the cutscene for King Bulblin is pretty long.
Yeah. If you're easily spooked, don't look. We're in the graveyard.
This LGA is very precise, actually. The bomb explodes on the wall, which boosts Link up on the ledge.
Oh, nice. A frame perfect chain drop. So there's our key. And I'm just gonna save warp to get back to the entrance to the dungeon pretty quickly.
Now Eck only has one bomb left. What are you gonna use it for?
That's enough to fight Morpheal again.
That is true.
Will Morpheal making a surprise appearance at the end, maybe?
Could be. And he was able to skip that barrier with a simple jump attack. Basically, the game tries to walk you into the barrier, but if you're not on the ground, then it can't walk you. So if you skip the cutscene soon enough, then you can just miss it. No swordless darkness this time. Oh, that was cool.
And with some precise targets before the cutscene here, we're gonna have
This is
the
so cool.
boomerang blow up the torch so that the platform races.
That's so cool.
Yeah, the Gale Boomerang can't blow out the torch in the middle of a cutscene, so the targets are to prevent the Gale Boomerang from getting to the torch until the cutscene is over. And here we have to light these torches in a specific order for this puzzle. That's just what the puzzle is. Going through this side of Hyrule Castle is faster than the other one because the other one requires us to fight some Dark Nuts if we want to progress, but here instead we can just fight these two Dynalphos with a single bomb arrow, just both instantly dead.
Oh. I guess it's kind of pointless to say this at this point, but you may have noticed through the entire task that Eck has been entering double doors through the right door rather than the left door. And that's because the animation of entering the room is just a little bit faster coming from that door. But it doesn't matter anymore because there are certain doors that lead to bigger loads where it doesn't actually matter which door you enter, you always come out the faster door on the other side. And the only double doors left are an example of that. Here's another long, unskippable cutscene where we meet the friends we made along the way.
Most of them who we've never met.
We do
Let's see.
We do have Russell to thank for his text displacement, though.
Yep. Yeah, that's important.
And we have Oru to thank for his memo.
Yep. Which may or may not have been a save prompt.
It's still in debate at this point.
Yeah. Shad and Ashe, though, not so much in this run.
Nope.
Unfortunately, the TAS does not get the bazooka. Super jump off the hawk. That would be something to see.
Land at the top of the tower. Yeah. No, you can't get the bazooka. Unfortunately.
Nice sword
Very
twirl.
nice. Yeah. The
That was a
swag.
must. And this pair of Liz Alphas you can actually skip.
Yeah, the spinner track is what allows you to just get past the wall there. And then right here, we're going to skip the final Dark Nut by claw-shotting from outside of the cutscene trigger and skipping the cutscene, which makes the golden wall come up after we've already passed it.
He did take damage for the skip onto the spinner rail. He just took it from the Los Alphos.
And we have just hit the 3-hour mark. Oh. Beating Hyrule Castle, or getting to the Hyrule Castle boss door sub 3 is still very impressive.
Yeah.
So the way this fight works is there's a minimum of 7 cycles that she can do. And the amount of time she has between attacks is random. And the fastest attack she can do that's not the light ball attack is when she flies down instead or and tries to attack you with the sword. This one. Also,
Yeah,
you might
because a lot
notice
of-
that Link's cheeky trying to look up her skirt, under her skirt.
Come on, Link. Be civil. It is a pretty common misconception because a lot of runners count their Zelda cycles, that the number of cycles is the only thing that matters, but as X said, it does take a variable amount of time between cycles, and that matters a lot. Oh no, you equip the boots. I know where this is going.
Don't blame me, Aaron. Blame Link.
That was basically a perfect 7 cycle. Can't really get any faster than that.
Nope.
Fortunately, because that has the bow. Oh, nice. He can just shoot Ganon quite a bit faster than using ball and chain.
Please, can you explain why I did that combo there?
Yeah, so like I was talking about before, damage on bosses works in pretty interesting ways. And Ganon, or Beast Ganon, is specifically very interesting in that the cycle that he goes to, or like what kind of attack he does next, depends on how much damage he sustains. And if you do the exact amount of damage that Ekke has just done on the first 2 cycles, then Beast Ganon spawns in favorable ways, essentially. We don't have to wait for him to warp around. We can be human on the 2nd cycle, which is very fast. Nice. Grabbing him straight out of the portal.
You can also one-shot him here on the 3rd hit as Wolf Link.
Yeah. Very quick fight.
And now we get one final visit from Epona here. Hopefully Zelda's aim will be good today.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, so when you know where Ganondorf is going to be, you can basically just line up to be directly next to him when Zelda shoots. For an insanely fast horseback Ganon.
That is amazing.
Where did
And
the
now
horse
Ganon
go?
has- I don't know. Maybe he'll tell us when he's telling us about his Einen Wunsch.
Also, this text box is broken on German. So if you don't press A, it won't progress, but the cutscene will continue.
Oh yeah, he's not going to tell us about his Wunsch. I forgot. Alright, 3 hits on Ganon, we're done.
Yeah, this fight is extremely easy in a speedrun. Just get behind him and do some jump slash quick stims. Put on the iron boots with a final time of 3:04:32. That is all the dungeons in The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess by Ekke325.
It is over half an hour faster than any human has ever done it. Incredible.
You're gonna also see the reason why I equipped iron boots very soon. It's very important.
Yeah, so for those in chat who were not here at the beginning, how long did it take you to make this TAS, Ek?
I started it in October 2018 and finished it this October, so pretty much 4 years on the day.
And for those who are interested, what was the re-record count on this TAS?
It was around 209,000, I believe.
Any of you guys imagine pressing pressing the load save state button 209,000 times?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was very impressive. GG's, and when's the 100% one?
Yeah, I think I'm aiming for 2050.
Oh, okay.
Sounds good.
I'm sure by then we'll have saved at least another minute on the any percent speedrun.
Maybe.
Anyway, it is now time to appreciate the iron boots in this cutscene. And for those curious, the TAS timing for this would probably be something like 3:17-ish. Because once again, the TAS timing is going to end when we clear some text boxes in about like 10 minutes. Excellent. But yeah, so do you have any shoutouts you want to give, Ek?
Definitely. I want to give, first of all, a shout out to Dragonbane, who, as I said earlier, made this build of Dolphin. I don't think this task would have been possible without him. Also, he has helped me a lot with questions and so forth that I had during the making of it. I want to give a shout out to Wicked Gligar, who has helped me a lot with routing. Habrena also has, and just the TP community in general, who's been very supportive of my work. And of course, thank you, Jim, for suggesting that we hold a reveal here on your channel. And Beast with the co-commentary.
You're welcome. Thanks for putting 4 years of work into this. This is nuts. This is insane. I really enjoyed watching that. Rewatching it. I watched it twice now. That was... I can't imagine all the work that goes into it. It's extremely impressive.
Yeah, I actually finished half this run in like 5 months this year. Made just as per an hour, and going forward, I started in May and finished in October. So it took 3.5 years to do Lakebed.
Yeah, at least I had this like a similar experience when making the any percent task, where you get a lot of motivation for tassing when you can actually see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Definitely.
And once you get past the Twilights, because the Twilights are very boring to task, in my opinion. Yeah, so we're gonna let the credits roll here. I guess if anybody in chat has questions that you guys want to ask Ek, or I guess me or Beast also, we can have 10-minute Q&A at the end, I suppose. If there's anything in the route you were curious about, or any explanation that you want.
I'll do my best of answering. I might have forgotten some stuff, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's a good starting one. What was your favorite part of the task to do, Eki? Or I guess what was your favorite result, maybe, of something you tasked?
I think Temple of Time, maybe.
Temple of Time.
It's hard to say, but I think Temple of Time, yeah. Definitely not the early game, which is the worst.
Yeah, our early game is really boring also.
And sub 3, you're not going to see for an All Dungeons task at the moment with current strats. FX, I'm not gonna answer that question.
Well, I like Simi's question. I was wondering the same thing a while ago.
Oh, is it possible to have a video with input display with Dolphin?
You can if you know programming, but I don't.
Yeah, I know that Shrog had been working on a tool to do that, and it would have been cool to have that here, but obviously we didn't, so... hopefully we'll be able to have that for future passes. The next 4 years.
Yeah. See, any other question I missed? How much of this run is true to an RTA run? Probably most of it, I guess.
I mean, yeah, the things that are very task specific, even though they save a lot of time, they aren't most of the run. Most of what you see in the run is done RTA. It's just also done slower because tasks can do the RTA stuff, perfectly and with a lot of optimization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said before, watching this as a runner it's really impressive to see all of the task-only stuff, but it's also really impressive to see the stuff that's not that different from RTA, but it's just so much faster. Lots of tiny optimizations.
Will I submit this to test videos? I will try. I don't know yet if it will be accepted, but I will submit it.
Regarding skipping the gorge, at the gorge you specifically get map warping, which is different from just normal warping. Normal warping, you talk to Midna and press warp and you can warp wherever. Map warping means you can pull up the map instead of talking to Midna, turn on the portals, and then warp like that. And they have some different properties, but we're able to get around it.
It just feels great, honestly. I'm a little overwhelmed, I guess, still. So it's kind of hard to answer. But yeah, it feels really great being done with this thing. It was very fun revealing it.
Yeah, now you're like, well, I don't have anything to task. This feels weird. A low percent task. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna do that.
Well, to be fair, the rupee slides wouldn't take much tasking.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's just 9 hours of not doing anything. 9.5
Right.
hours.
You could show off a Twilight Princess low percent task, and during all the rupee slides, show off a meme category task as well.
Yeah, multiple
Yeah.
meme category tasks, maybe.
Or you could show off the same hold a dog task, how many times? 18 or no, 180 times? Something like that?
Yeah, definitely. So regarding a new any percent task, I don't really think it's that warranted at the moment. There are some new skips, but I think at most you'd be able to say maybe 2
to 3
maybe
minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I
the
feel
biggest
like...
thing, I guess, is the skipping map warping. Also, there's early snow peak, which we don't know how much it saves. And also incorporating break slides earlier in the run, because they weren't discovered back when Jim started his.
Yeah, and then there's the ice block clip in Snow Peak.
Oh, Yeah, I guess. And that's only like 10 seconds maybe, if even that.
Yeah, I'd say to warrant a new any percent task, there'd have to be like some skip that saves like over 30 minutes or something. I would say.
I guess seeing it sub 230 would be cool, but it's not even guaranteed at this point. But even then, I wouldn't like do a 2.5 hour test to save like 4 minutes.
Yeah. I feel like the only time I would ever seriously consider doing another, I guess I don't know about you, Ek, but like if early Hyrule Castle is found, then I think that would warrant another one. But
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
other than that, probably not for me.
Technically, we theoretically have that.
Okay, well,
We do?
Yeah, it's actor unloading, and I don't know the details, but it sounds like a nightmare to do in any form, including tassing. And no one's done it, so
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
word
see,
the
me,
word
I-
theoretically is doing a lot of lifting here, by the way.
it is.
Simi, regarding that, I thought about it, but at this time in my life, I won't really have that much time to put on just like speedrunning, I think. So maybe, but it wouldn't be anything. I wouldn't do it often. But if I would, it would be Twilight Princess 100% probably. Yeah, it does free me in a way.
No save and quit task. Yeah.
Actually, seeing TAS both holding and pushing would be pretty cool.
Yeah. True.
Maybe make a task competition out of that.
But yeah. That would be a cool thing if we brought back TAS competitions.
Has
There's
that
only
ever
been
done
like
for
2, I
TP?
think. It's been done, I think, once or twice.
For TP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. Are there videos somewhere?
Yeah, if you scroll up like the announcements channel in the TP Discord, you'll probably find it. There's a couple.
Okay.
It was a couple of years ago at this point, though.
Yeah.
I feel like the Star mini games, or at least Star 1 would be a really good one.
Yeah.
Real short.
Yeah, it would be cool to give HD a proper task someday, or even just maybe like a low tad, with all the wiggle walking, the super swimming, and being able to skip Zora armor.
The wiggle walking would save so much time. I think
Yeah.
it's 45 speed instead of 32, which is Link's rolling speed.
Yeah.
But as
Which would save it.
Wolflink in Hyrule Field, it's 90 instead of 45.
Is it 90?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that's so fast.
It's faster than
That's
an
faster than
LJA.
Epona.
And what about the Epona speed then?
I think Epona is actually like capped properly.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. You can like get up to that speed faster though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this task was made on a special build of Dolphin, which is a little bit dated at this point. It was based on, I think it was based on a version of Dolphin that came out like right after 5.0, like stable was released. But like, Dolphin back then was not very good for tassing like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess because it was just like, it would desync basically all the time, but Dragonbane made a special build of it that allowed us to actually task the game without having to really deal with desyncs.
Yeah.
So me and Ekke each only had to deal with like a single desync in each of the tasks that we made.
Yeah, which is insane for such a long project, I'd say. It's very good. And the version I used was Zelda Edition 7.0, which is based on Dolphin 4.0. But I have actually checked, and it does sync on Zelda Edition 7.2 as well. But it does not sync on Dolphin 5.0. It doesn't even start properly. Since there's no save prompt here, it doesn't actually count as beating the dungeon. So this run isn't valid.
Dang. We have to get back to the drawing board.
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
End day. And for those of you who were here 4 years ago, I'm sorry to inform you that there will not be any Morth Hover 2 reveal, if that's what you were waiting for.
I was hoping for Morth Hover 2 or something.
But, see, who can we raid? It looks like Nuki is doing some Twilight Princess 100% practice.
Whoa.
Wow.
I like that category.
It is a pretty cool category. I say as I've never seen a full run of it.
Don't tell anyone, but neither have I.
So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the TAS. Ekke and the Wildebeest, do you guys have any final words to say?
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for showing up. I'm glad that so many wanted to watch this thing. Really. I'm thankful. Yeah, this will be on YouTube.
All I have to say is GG to Eck. Amazing TAS.
All right, well, with that, I believe we will all be seeing you guys later as you guys go watch Nuki Dog play Twilight Princess 100%. I hope you guys have fun watching them, and yeah, maybe we'll see you in 4 years for the next TAS. See you guys later.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.